Hyper speed! Go!
Hey everybody, welcome to Cocktail Time here at 4Player Network. I am your host of Cocktail Time, Joseph Christ, and this is a very special Cocktail Time because it is that time of year, the time of year of PAX East, and it is my first time here at PAX East. I had a great time. PAX East 2013, to be precise.
Sorry.
And we have a lot of our team still here. Jeffrey DeMello, actually, he already had to go home. He has to work construction tomorrow, so he couldn't be with us, but
I miss Jeff already.
we missed Jeff already. With me tonight, starting from my right, is Nick Henderson. How you doing?
Hello.
Mr. Bob Webb, part of the original Cocktime crew.
Cocktime. Well, I did do a stint in a video series called Cocktime.
So I call it
Freudian
Cocktime.
slip.
I like to
That
call it
is how
Cocktime.
we tend to announce it in chat.
Yeah, Cocktime.
I'm pretty sure the original Cocktime crew was Joseph, myself, and Nick.
That is
was
true.
The original.
That was the
very-
video one. That was the Rebirth.
The Cocktail Time
Yes,
Live.
correct.
The original show, the very first show was me, Nolan,
The very
and
first,
Nick.
like, 5 or 6
Yeah, 5 or 6 episodes.
Actually, I think
And then it started becoming
The
a
Maiden
Sunday
Voyage.
thing, and then Sunday became...
I think this was a second show. Was just me and you, Nolan.
Yeah, it was me and you.
actually.
Oh, I remember that one.
And
That
we
was-
talked about the Human Centipede.
Yeah, was that? No, the third one was the one I got fucking wasted, right?
Because you
Maybe,
thought the
maybe.
podcast started like an hour earlier.
That's
You
right.
were pre-gaming.
You were pre-gaming for like an hour.
And I had like 6 beers. What's up, bitches?
That was a
Yeah,
good show.
Yeah.
And then Chris Davis is here as well.
Good evening. I'm afraid I'm going to get arrested.
No, Chris is just being. So we are at a
Do you
honey.
have like a restraining order or anything we should know about?
No,
On the
I'm
list?
terrified.
Are you not supposed to be within 100 yards?
I know.
of
So let me
50-year-old
explain. Let me explain the situation.
He's eating
here.
all, like,
We're at
sweaty
the. We're currently at the Sheraton Hotel in Boston, and we are also at the hotel at the same time as us. There is an Irish Honey Boo Boo convention.
The best way to describe it.
Yeah. So we're just every elevator, every staircase, every hallway is inundated with sparkly little children.
Either that or they're filming the next season of Toddlers and
Right,
Tiaras.
and it's like sparkly little children in widow makeup, basically.
I don't understand how their hair is so
40-year-old
fucking
cougar
curly.
widow makeup.
Are those wigs?
Some of them are wigs, I think.
So we are like a
We're the-
stone's throw away.
They're not very far away from us, so we must be careful.
So you may hear the sound of children playing.
You may hear the sound of children playing in the background while we say horrible things. Just keep in mind, we're not interacting with them. We're very far away and they can't hear us.
Odds are there's going to be a lot of what we talked about before we began this cut from the final product.
Probably
and
not.
not placed in the behind-the-scenes coverage for PAX East 20.
It's probably a good idea.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
So
Anyway, so
now you understand.
this is also known as the Day 3 PAX East podcast. So let's talk about the games, right?
Yeah.
Jump into the games. It's late.
Just jump into
God.
the games. Just jump right into them.
They can't see that.
Oh. See what? Somebody eventually will have to, just as a side, somebody...
Oh, so I get to experience my screensaver for the first time.
Oh wow.
Very nice.
Okay, now we're really gonna get
Every week, Joseph. Every week.
This goes on every, just wait,
If you
I have
ever,
over 1,000.
Joseph,
Is it the same girl?
Yeah.
No,
everyone's
not even
different.
close.
If you ever see me just kind
you-
of like drifting off
do
into the
realize
distance,
that-
that's why.
That's illegal. This is a public area.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
We should probably keep
This is also cocktail time.
Just a reminder: somebody should check the computer upstairs because the show might be ending. We have to hand it up.
Let's just set an alarm.
No, of course not.
Fuck. Perfect.
So Brad
No one
doesn't
told
know
me
that we're.
He knows.
Wait
knows.
until just have Brad
Does he
text us
know
what
or
it
does he
says.
know?
We can't stop our broadcasting end.
Can't stop the beat.
He can't stop ours.
I know, so somebody has to go and stop it when it's time.
You want me to go check it and I'll come back?
Yeah, we'll start with that. Let me just
Someone give me a key.
hold on. Just start talking about games.
So, Nick, what games did you see today? That you didn't see, or
Well,
what games did you have not talked about before that you want to talk about?
First game I played today was Divekick.
Divekick. I played
Which
that
I
as well.
played. I went back and played it a few hours later with Nolan. We talked about it on the Day 2 podcast last night, but that game is pretty sweet.
So I didn't. It was a lot more in depth than I thought it was. When I first heard about the game, I thought it was just literally diving and kicking, but there's a lot more elements to it.
Mm-hmm.
For example, when you use the kick button when you're on the ground, you actually jump backwards a little bit.
Yeah, I was confused about character movement at first too, but yeah, it's if you're not kicking, you hit the dive, or if you're not kicking and you kick.
If you're not jumping,
diving and you hit the kick button, you go backwards.
So I honestly think this game is misnamed. I think it should be called. I think it should be called Divekick, but I think the button should be jump and dive kick.
But that would kill the humor in the
How?
controller. Because it's called dive kick, and the button says dive, and one button says kick.
But one button doesn't make you dive, and one button doesn't make you kick. One button makes you jump, and one button makes you dive kick.
But it's only 2 buttons. You should be able to get past that.
So anyway, they're mislabeled. Anyway, so there's that element. So, but there's also I didn't realize each character honestly has completely different stats in the sense that some jump higher than others, some jump faster than
Some
others.
characters even have 2 kicks,
Some characters have 2 kicks,
which I use to my advantage.
and then all of their dives are at different speeds and angles.
Yep.
So it's not only you have to be good at your character, you honestly have to be good at every single character because you have to know the possible angles they can kick at. If you should do a short, so to get across the screen very quickly, you could do a bunch of rapid succession dive kicks. So you don't jump very high, you rapidly move forward, and then the final jump, you jump extremely high and then do a dive kick, and something like that. So there's a lot of strategy behind it. So the first time we played, I didn't realize that Nick's character had 2 kicks. Like
I did.
He could jump and do a dive kick, but
you can interrupt the dive kick.
You can interrupt it and do a sharper dive kick.
Well, he called it like a dive bomb. So if you're in the middle of a dive kick and he's flying diagonally across the screen, and you hit the kick button again, all of a sudden she basically for a split second stops and then goes straight down like a dive bomb. Mm-hmm. So you can literally change the angle, the trajectory of your dive kick mid kick, and a lot of times that made the difference between winning and losing a match.
And so there's even more than that, though, because also you can get headshots on people. So if you dive kick them in the head, in the next round they will be stunned for a few seconds. They won't move as fast, and then you will also get a bonus. And so the more headshots you get, the better you're this meter, this little foot on the bottom of the screen builds up. And if you get it completely filled, you will be very fast. You will jump very high, and you will kick very fast.
Yeah.
And so the goal is to do as well as possible, as long as possible, to give yourself a greater advantage.
Okay, because in watching that game, I was wondering what the fuck that meter was. I thought it was like a stun meter.
No, it's basically
It's like a super meter. Or
it
something like
improves
that in
the
other
speed
game.
of your dive and your kick,
Yeah.
which took me a while to figure out myself as well. But they also give you the ability to choose amplifiers at the beginning of each battle, so you can choose plus 10% kick, plus 10% dive. But at first I was like, what the fuck does that mean? But it's all relative to the speed of that character's dive and kick. So I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's for a game that I think a lot of people look at and think, oh, that's funny, that's a joke. It has a surprising amount of depth to it.
So, but the thing is, they're looking to release the game on PC and even consoles, and so they're not going to have those giant controllers. And Vita. Are you?
They had a Vita playable there. Did you see that?
I did.
Oh wow.
But it's literally you can have 2 people playing on one screen. You turn it, and you're standing across from each other. So one person's on the D-pad, other person's on the face buttons, and you're playing on the same screen.
It's a pretty cool concept. So is he going to sell those controllers separately as peripherals, or?
I would imagine so.
I guess so.
I don't know.
Then in that case, he could have called the buttons jump and dive kick.
Could have. I don't know.
Okay.
Who knows what their decision-making process was in labeling the buttons in that controller? But I think it's funnier to call it dive and kick.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. It probably doesn't make as much sense.
Let's talk about another game that I know I think almost all of us played today, and that was Contrast.
Yes. Which prior to today, I was really leaning towards I loved Metro, I loved Outlast, but I think I fell in love with Contrast today.
Really?
Yeah. I went over. I'm a sucker for anything 1920s. Remember the Saboteur? That game came out a few years ago. The one that
that
takes place
was
in France.
in the 30s. But yeah.
Not 20s. I mean, that whole time, 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s. They all have kind of a similar vibe. the music was kind of similar, and
The designer would actually argue with you about that.
huh?
The designer of the game would actually argue.
Yeah, I mean,
about
So
you
they
know,
really
no,
knew their shit.
Argue
experts
about what?
The differences
difference
between
between the eras.
music and 20s, 30s, and 40s. Which yes, if you're an expert in any one of those eras, you can point out the differences for sure.
specifically the architectural designs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a certain like you could probably lump those together and say there's something equally as appealing about these eras, and like the Saboteur was a game that I fucking
hold on.
loved because of
We've
that.
been talking about this game for 2 minutes, and some people might not have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. All they know it's a game you love, and
I'm
the music from
setting
those
up-
areas don't make sense.
It's it's a game set in like the 1920s. You play a character who is the thing is they don't give you much context as far as the story goes. So I'm still trying to figure
In
out
the demo, they don't. I know exactly what's going on. I talked to the
Okay.
developers.
I mean, I talked to him today too, but he didn't really break down the story.
Yeah,
Okay, well, so what's going on is the main you play the main character, I guess, is you, and you are Dawn. You were the imaginary friend of Dee Dee. That was that little girl.
Okay,
in
so
the
that's
demo.
what I was trying to figure out. I was wondering why she was talking to the little girl, but they weren't acknowledging.
That's fine.
It's hard to.
So
Figure it out,
the whole game is it's a mystery game. There's actually a lot you don't know, and
I thought she was the mother for a second.
no.
No.
So it's kind of a mystery. You're trying to solve some stuff. They don't actually tell you everything at the beginning. They want you to figure some stuff out. And they were saying that Dee Dee, the little girl, comes from a very broken family. Her father abandoned her, and her mother has been trying to make ends meet by trying to survive. And so in the demo, it's the mom's big night. And you remember those shadows, the singing woman? That was her mom.
Yeah.
So she has like a singing act at this club. And so
The little deadbeat guy is trying to like win her heart, but he's kind of a dick.
was the dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dee Dee is trying to bring her family back together, and she's getting help from her imaginary friend Dawn, which is you. And so the main draw of this game is you, being imaginary, have the ability to switch in between a 2D and a 3D plane. You start off in the 3D plane, you can run around, but then you can switch into a 2D plane and become a shadow, and you can interact with shadows. And that's the best
And you
part
do
about
that by
this game.
walking up to walls that actually have shadows on the backdrop, and if you walk up to that shadow and hit, like I guess what the equivalent of R2 is in the controller they had, you kind of like jump into the wall and become the shadow in the game. And then anywhere there's a shadow is a plane you can walk on, which is
Exactly.
really cool.
And so it adds some platforming elements to it. But you can there's situations where sometimes you'll have to jump, switch from a shadow to a person, and then switch back to a shadow, or do something like that. You'll have to switch around in mid jump and mid whatever to achieve your goal.
Yeah, the section you're describing, that actually takes place in the third act of the game.
See, that's
It was showing
very
you a
far.
much more advanced portion of the game. So
Yeah, he actually, when he was talking to me, I was watching the guy play before me, and he was like, the guy before me actually gave up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he couldn't do it. So
It was actually kind of difficult.
no,
I won't lie.
He's like this portion of the demo was actually something very late in the game, the third portion, and it's meant to be there once you have a much better understanding of how the mechanics work.
Yeah.
And it took me a while. Like I sat there and went through a lot of trial and error, and at a lot of points I kind of knew where I was supposed to go, but it's basically a big room or it's a big outdoor area, and you're trying to get up to the rooftops of these buildings to let this balloon go that was caught on this
hot air balloon.
This hot air balloon was caught on this wire. But to get up, there's a carousel going around and around in the middle of the arena, so you can see the shadows of the horses on the carousel going against the wall. But since the angle of the light that's coming down on it is making them go, up, high, and low depending on the
Because the
angle.
carousel's off center, so it's kind of
Yeah.
wobbling a little bit.
So,
Well, also the horses do go up and down.
Oh, yeah, sure.
but then they throw in every once in a while on the outside of the carousel they have these bars, right, holding it
Yeah.
up. So when you're trying to run down the back of a horse and then it crosses the shadow of the bar on the opposite side of the carousel, you can't go past.
Yeah, so you can't
walk past
when you're a
it.
shadow. You can't pass through shadows.
Yeah.
So you can't. It's essentially a wall in front of you. So that's what I
But
was.
you can
talking-
dash through it,
So
which is
they give you an ability to dash, which essentially lets you pass through a short shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that took a little bit of figuring
I
out.
honestly think that wasn't originally there. I think what they wanted you to do was jump, switch planes, and then switch back. But I think that almost became too difficult.
But no,
so
but
then
the
they
problem
gave
is
you a dash
when
ability.
you come out of the shadow, sometimes it happens so fast you don't have enough time to. Or sometimes when you come out, you actually move farther away from the wall because you kind of come flying out of the wall into
yeah.
the 3D plane, and at that point you're too far away from the wall to jump directly back into it.
That is the case, but even though you're farther away, your shadow is still exactly where it was.
Yeah.
I just blew your mind.
Wait, you did?
Yes.
No, but you have to be right up against the wall.
Why?
You have to enter the wall.
I understand, but I'm saying it's a shadow.
Yeah.
And so
The thing is, while I was playing, there were some other indie developers that were coming and watching me play, and they started asking him. They literally like, "How did you do this? Like, technically, how did you program this?"
Yeah.
And he was like, he actually went through the process and started explaining to him how he
how they went about
this.
doing it, yeah.
And I mean, of course, I don't have a real understanding of how that works or whatever, but he was trying to explain it to him and explaining why it's really challenging to actually get that mechanic to work properly. And he was talking about some of the hoops they had to jump through to get that mechanic to even work. So the state it's in right now, you're right. I think that might have been their original intent to do it a little bit differently, but I think something else was kind of born out of it in the process of trying to make it work, and that's probably what they're sticking with.
So another interesting thing about this game is the fact that they wanted you to really focus on the two main characters, Dawn and Dee Dee.
Yeah.
And so by trying to accomplish that, there are actually no other characters in the game.
Yeah.
There are no other physical models. Everything is told through shadows.
Yeah.
So you never see Dee Dee's mom and dad. You see their shadows talking back.
I have a
and forth.
feeling, though, the imaginary friend might be somewhat modeled after her mother, because it seems like she idolized. She talks about how she wanted to be a dancer, a singer,
Like her
just
mom.
like you. And her mom's a
singer at a
and
nightclub.
stuff like that.
In 1920-esque. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't say nightclub now. I mean, that'd be kind of weird.
Yeah,
You know, in a
trashy.
1920s nightclub where the
Yeah.
woman gets all, nice and she has
Very
the
classy.
Big,
High-
yeah, it was
very high
extremely
class.
classy
High class.
back then.
Yeah.
And it has a really the game has a really beautiful aesthetic to it. I think it has an interesting art design. But that's kind of going back to the beginning of the conversation where I said I'm a sucker for 1920 stuff. And that's why I fell in love with the game. It has that.
Oh, the music's amazing in the game. It's
and
phenomenal.
that's one of the really interesting things he was talking about.
It was created specifically just for the game.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
You
Yeah. I
can
didn't know
watch.
that.
You can watch the interview we did with the developer on the site.
Joseph did an interview. We got some good gameplay footage. So if you want to see more of the actual game,
Yeah, I would-
you can head to the YouTube page.
Head to YouTube, or you can find it on 4playernetwork.com. But basically, one of the developers actually was a big fan of this one singer's work, who basically emulates that 1920s sound perfectly. And he just cold called her one night and asked her if she wanted to do music for the game. So she said sure. She saw the game and said she loved it, and said yeah, she wanted to do it. And she created a song for the game. And then he ended up liking it so much, he called her back again and was like, hey, if we wrote up some lyrics and kind of gave you a premise for the song, would you record all the music for the game? And she was like, sure.
That's
so
cool.
all that music,
Yeah.
all the singing in the game is this one.
Was the mom, is that lady that she voiced her?
Yeah.
Or? Okay, that's cool.
And he because I remember watching the interview, so I told him we did an interview with him Friday and asked him about it, and he's like, oh yeah, and he pulled out this book and opened it and showed me a picture of her. He's like, yeah, it's her. We cold called her and all. And he was just super excited about it, which was really cool. But
Another thing I like about it is it's not just you interacting with shadows. It's you have to be in the 3D plane, and then you can interact with items like lights to actually then create shadows to achieve your goal. So I really like that. I mean, you didn't do too much of that in the demo. You only did it in one area, two areas, and it was a pretty simple interaction.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it's more involved. One of the things I was thinking of is maybe there could be some platforming area where there's like fireworks, and so the shadows aren't always there, only when the firework goes off.
Well,
And so
in certain areas, you have to get the luminance. You have to pick up orbs in order to power the lights.
Yeah.
So there's some exploration that's required for you in order to get the power sources for some of these lights. That progresses you
so
further.
I remember last night when we were recording that live show, and someone had asked us what our favorite game of the show was so far, and you had said you hadn't played it yet, but you were really hoping to go play.
Yeah.
You played it today?
Yeah,
Bob and I played it.
We played it together.
So what did you think?
I still same thoughts. Really positive. Really like the. I'm really interested in the mechanics, the core mechanics itself, as well as how the story's going to unfold.
It's a little technically. I don't want to say broken, but it has some technical issues right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's alpha. I mean,
But
it's
like I
early.
said, like that mechanic is probably really tricky to get to work properly.
Yeah.
So
Joseph actually kind of broke the demo.
Yeah.
So-
I broke it too.
So,
How'd you break it?
I fell through the world.
Oh, nice.
which I'm sure is
That happens in every game. I mean, they're out there. It's probably more prone now since it's early.
It's pre-alpha.
Yeah.
Shit
and
happens.
this was a game that has been greenlit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they were one of the first games to be greenlit on Steam.
Yeah.
But another thing I like about it is there's only 2 of them, but the character design is like a almost Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas Corpse Bride-esque.
Right.
And I really like that style.
I'm so excited for this game.
Yeah, it looks super good. I'm really excited for it to come out.
I was trying to think of what to compare the character designs to.
I could tell you.
And he specifically mentioned Tim Burton.
Oh, he really did?
So, yeah.
Cool. I could
I
tell
want
you.
the shirt. Did you see the shirt he was wearing? The developer. It was just a model of the imaginary friend. What's her name? Dawn.
Dawn,
It's just a thing of Dawn, but it's a completely black shirt, but it's white and red. So it's like her silhouette, sort of like I guess her. It's her bust. So it's like right from her chest up, and she's completely white, but you see like the paint on her, like her cheeks blushing or whatever, and it's red, and it's a beautiful fucking shirt.
I really liked.
We're talking about contrast,
Yeah,
Joseph.
contrast,
Oh,
Joseph.
yes.
Do you have opinions on that?
Well, I interviewed the guy about that.
Yeah, we talked about that. It's up on the
It's
site.
a gorgeous game. I'm not sure what you covered so far. But
Pretty much everything.
We've talked pretty extensively about it.
I'm sure you have. So I had to go and turn the podcast over the stream over to Brad.
Was it still going, or had it stopped?
It had 6 minutes left.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So that's
So you
why
just waited it
I
out?
just waited it out and stayed there. So anyway, it's gorgeous. It sort of reminds me of this film Noir, Right Said Fred. If you ever saw that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good
Which is
movie.
a really good movie. It's one of those underrated movies from the 90s, I thought. But the aesthetic is just this very grainy black and white 1920s France, boudoir, if that's
Yes, these are all
a way
these
to-
are all the words that I couldn't think of earlier that I love. I compared it to, like, Chris had mentions LA Noir, which is the music wise.
I didn't mention that.
Hey, you did, didn't you?
No,
What did you
The
mention?
music is 1920s jazz.
Yeah, but I compared
Everything
it.
is
I compared it more to like the Saboteur, like music wise, and
Probably. I didn't play through a lot of Saboteur. I should, though.
I loved that game.
I know you do, and I always
because
think
of
about
that, all those words that you just said that I couldn't think of.
I always think about the game and what the kinds of things that game tried to do with this aesthetics and the fact that there's this gray world
It tried to
becoming
do great
colorful.
things. It didn't quite come together.
It was kind of a technically broken game, but I still adore that game.
I'd love to get a post-mortem on that game, actually. See
Yeah.
what went on there. But
Yeah,
anyway.
it's been 3 years since, but that's
Since pandemic, when
Yeah, it killed them. So it reminds me. It's basically think of I don't focus too much on the aesthetic, but think of Moulin Rouge, and it's like that in a way.
I've never
that's
seen
not
Moulin
a, that's a
Rouge.
very appropriate.
Just not as,
See,
not as
I'm glad you came back.
Yeah.
Because
In
I
color
didn't-
palette and aesthetic.
yeah, it's not as
very similar.
bombastic, but it's like
Well, I like that there's not a bright color palette to the game. It's very
It's very dark,
Like
but it's
reds and
grays
blacks.
and
reds
yellows.
and
Lots of
blacks
yellows
and browns and
reds
stuff that- yeah.
mauves
also
and
also
things
hints of Chicago.
no, yeah.
In a way.
Chicago.
Chicago, the movie, the film
Oh, I
Chicago.
never saw Chicago.
Yeah, it was along the same lines.
Okay,
Well,
but
we're all comparing it to like 20s stuff. So yeah, 20s.
The whole idea is you're this little girl's imaginary friend, and her parents are getting a divorce.
Well, that we covered.
Yeah.
We covered all that. Yeah.
We've actually been talking about it for about 20 minutes.
I'll add in that I like the idea, and I kind of agree with the designer about this, about how it's not this grandiose story; it's a very simplistic story. Because I find that it's easier for us to kind of grab hold of those simpler concepts, of those simpler stories that sort of touch everyday lives. That you're the wizard fighting the dragon. And that's always fun. It's good to have those adventures, but sometimes these smaller stories are a little more fun to play around with.
Yeah, more personal.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. It's, I guess it's still heavily in development. I guess it
Comes out in a few months.
It's a couple of bugs that I hit.
Yeah.
we had talked about that.
I went through the world and stuff, but he took note of it. He's like, "Wow, I didn't know you could do that." I'm like, "Well, you're welcome." But I'm looking forward to it. Apparently, it's starting to pick up some steam in terms of its visibility to the public.
Actually, that happened to me not during this game, but several games over mainly indie games. But a lot of the times, I love when I'm playing and something happens, and I see the developer and he shakes his head, and starts writing something down.
Better write that down.
But that's good. It's
They're getting
good for
thousands
them.
of free play testers.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this is a good time for them to get so much feedback that they don't really get. I mean, I think one of the most dangerous things as a developer that you can have is you kind of get into this echo chamber within your studio. And you can tell when you play a game that it just plays so difficult and so hard. You can tell that no one played this game besides the developers because they grew up with it.
Yeah.
So to them, it's easy. And as soon as someone from the outside world comes in and touches it, they're just like, "What the hell is this? I don't understand it."
Well, just because we're on the concept of like testing and stuff like that, can we shift to another game real quick? That I want.
Yeah.
So, well, that was contrast that we were just talking about.
by composure.
Composure.
And it was so funny.
Compulsion,
Which is
yeah.
funny when I first tweeted about this game. So the posters have the word compulsion
On the top.
really
big.
big
Yeah,
I
on
thought
the
the game was
top.
called- I
thought the game
and
was
on the
called
bottom it
Gunslinger.
says contrast. So I'm tweeting out, everyone needs to see this game Compulsion.
It's the studio.
And it turns out that that's a printing error.
Yeah.
It's a bad design.
But yeah, so we're talking about like developers coming and testing their games. Did I talk about Tiny Brains on the podcast yesterday?
I don't remember.
I think I did. So Chris and I were walking around. I think we had just filmed something. And a guy approached us. He was like, "Hey, I see your media. Can you come check out our game?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And he was saying, "Oh, it's a 4-player co-op game." And I was like, "Oh, well, we're a 4-player network. That's perfect." And
Just feed into it,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
No, it's 20-player network.
what?
Never mind.
He's talking about all the people who say.
Talking about the stupid
YouTube
chatters who are like,
comments.
there's 20, it's why we call it 20-player network now.
Anyway, see, I don't even think like that. But anyway, so
I made the same joke last PAX, and I got just fucking ridiculed.
That's
by
true.
it.
Every pack someone needs to make that joke.
okay, so there's this game Tiny
Everyone's like, I'm
Brains.
done with this.
Tiny Brains, and it's I can't remember the name of the company now. I really wish I had my notebook. Anyway, so anyway, Tiny Brains. It's a cooperative multiplayer game. Yeah, it's all right. I thought about texting you, and I was like, I'll live. So it's 4 rodents. I don't remember what they all like. Rabbit, bat. Anyway, they each have a unique ability.
Oh, I did see this.
You saw
I
it?
didn't play it, but I passed it up.
So I was kind of like, but he was talking to me and he was really excited. So I was like, I'll try it. And I actually really enjoyed it.
No, I'm keeping it. I don't mean to cut you off, but again and again, I'm seeing like every time there's a game, and I'm like, I don't know, and then I try it.
It
I'm
ends up being
amazed
really
by it.
good,
And I
yeah.
think we just need to say, fuck it, I'm playing.
We need to try and play as many as possible.
everything,
I had
you
the
don't know.
same. That's what happened to me with
that.
Quadrilateral Cowboy. I passed it up at multiple conventions. Finally played it this time thanks to Jeff. And wow.
It's like I think trying a game doesn't take any more than 15 seconds, and you know immediately.
Yeah.
But you also know if it's something special pretty
Yeah.
fast too.
And so 4 different characters each have their own ability. One of them has this force push. So essentially, if there's an item in front of them, they can use the ability and it will go flying across the screen. One of them has a force pull. If there's an item in like somewhere far away from them, they can pull it towards them. One of them has the ability to teleport, so they can teleport from here to there, or they can teleport from here to an item and actually swap spots with it.
Yeah.
And then another one can create a block, like a rectangular block. And so they all have to work together to solve puzzles. Like some scientist has captured, almost like Portal-esque, is running these experiments on them. Just as an example, there was like an L-shaped bend, and the entire like L was like nothing. It was like a hole. And so the characters are on the right half of the screen, and they need to get to the characters on the left, and they need to get to the right. But the problem is they can't get over there because there's a wall in the way. And the way to get down the wall is to use a block and insert it in a square block into a square hole, but it's around the corner, around that L, so there's no way to get to it. And the guys I was with, you had already left, Chris, but the guys I were with were like, I don't know what to do, and I was trying to, I had to take lead in that situation, because even when 4 people they don't know each other, they don't really work well, and so I was like, you know what, if no one's going to take the lead, I will, and this is what we're going to do. Like, listen, blue guy, create a block. Teleport guy, get on top of that block. I was the force push, so what I did was I pushed the block so it flies across, and then now in that L path, the guy teleported and switched spots with the block, and the force pull guy pulled it over to him, and then put it in the hole, and we were good to go.
Nice.
And so that was the developers. Yes, good, y'all figured it out, because it's all about literally you have to work together to solve these puzzles. And yeah, all that aside,
So
there's
it's almost like a cooperative. I mean,
it is. You literally have to work together.
No, but it's like it's like if you were to take Portal and introduce. I mean,
Like
Co-op's
Portal
already been
2?
in Portal, yeah. So
Yeah, like Portal 2, but each one has their own
4
unique
players.
abilities. And I was asking if it could be less than 4 players, and he's like, you can have 3, and then it'll be trine, so one person you can switch in and out.
Yeah.
I don't think it would really be nearly as good a
No, I think this you have to
You
have
gotta play
4
it out,
people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the reason I brought this up was because as soon as we were done with the demo, he was like, hey, I have this really quick form. Will y'all fill it out? And it was like, what what did you like about the game? You know, what did you not like about the game? What would you price this game at? And and I gave him very serious answers. Usually when I do surveys, I'm kind of like, yeah, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But I was really serious. I was like, I really like the co-op. It works really well together. My problem, and it was a big problem I had with the game, is you use the right analog stick to aim your ability. So it's very important for the teleport, the push, and the pull to aim their ability properly. And so you use the right analog stick to aim it, and so it'll give you like a little line where it's going. And then the problem is you use the ability with Y. And so that brings up the claw. You have to do the claw to do it, and I was like, the triggers aren't mapped to anything right now.
Just use the trigger.
I'm like, well, yeah. So I was telling him, I was like, look, it's a really simple fix. I don't know if you had planned on doing something else with it, but it would fix that big problem. And then I honestly told him he didn't have a blank in the price spot. He had like 5, 10, 15, 40. How much would you price the game at? And I was like, look, it really depends on the content of the game. If this is only 30 levels, $15. But I mean, if you draw this out into a very good game with a good story, I might even pay $40 for it. It seemed pretty legit.
Maybe they're like trying to escape the laboratory, kind of mix it like Portal 2 mixed with Dr. Rat.
And so in the demo, I don't know how far this is into it, but in the demo, what we played, you eventually escape his lab. Like you kind of almost exactly like Portal, you find a way to kind of get out of his thing, and you jump out a window, and he's like yelling at you. He's like, "No, where did you go?" I don't know where it planned on going from there, but it was pretty good. It's called Tiny Brains.
Tiny Brains. What? All right.
Oh, Joseph, just because I know this is a game at least you and I played, Anne.
Yes.
I played that as well.
Excellent. Yeah.
Really
It's
loved.
like one of the 2 games I played today.
So I really loved Dan. It's one of those games. I had an appointment this morning, and then I was kind of stuck in the hotel room scheduling all of our content
And
for the day.
the director or the company for that game is
Mo.
Games by
Games
Mo.
by Mo.
Games by Mo, and his name is Mo.
and he's the only person that's working on it.
And he's the only guy. He used to work for Activision. He worked on a Spider-Man game for Activision, he said.
Did you say which one?
He didn't say which. He wouldn't say which one.
That's an important question.
He wouldn't say which one. But he did. I don't know if I should say he said this. He did say that he thought it was of dubious quality when he was showing it to people.
Spider-Man?
Yes.
So any of them after 2.
Yeah.
No, Ultimate Spider-Man is really good.
Correct.
Well, it might just because he worked on a bad game doesn't mean he did a bad job.
Well, it goes. The thing is that it's the publishers usually are pushing games to come out during the movies, and the developers know this is not good. I don't want to put this out, but I have no choice.
It's licensing deals.
That's what happens.
Very, very limited development.
Anyway, he left Activision to make this game.
Smart choice.
Much like the people right next to him, the people who used to work for Ubisoft and made
Mercenary Kings.
Mercenary Kings.
who made Mercenary Kings, but they originally made Scott Pilgrim.
Correct.
But they wanted to keep making those types of games, and Ubisoft was going to split up the team, put them on whatever, maybe Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and they left so they continued making the games they loved. Same thing with him. Anyway, I had an appointment this morning. I was busy. I missed it, and then all day I was thinking, God, should I go? I don't know. There's all this other stuff I might want to see, and I kind of saw a little bit of it, and but I didn't really look into it. And eventually,
honestly, when you mentioned it and I walked past, and it was once again that was kind of like, it doesn't look very good.
well, it just looks like a retro, whatever.
Yeah,
you know.
but then I played it.
And then you start getting into it. So I go and I meet him and I start playing it. And what it is it's this retro style. I don't say very retro style, like original Nintendo retro style. Open world Metroidvania with experience and exploration, and a big influence is Symphony of the Night from him. Apparently, because I started playing, and the first thing I did was I started shooting an enemy, and damage numbers were coming out. And I'm like, and I go, oh wow, damage numbers. And he goes, and from the side he goes, oh, it's like Symphony of the Night. And I'm like, oh shit, it's on now.
Brad just popped over.
Yeah, so I know I'm going through, and it has this sort of the checkpointing system like Symphony of the Night. So there's checkpoint areas and rooms. There's not it doesn't save. You just go through the little portal, and that's where you would.
It regains some health, and its checkpoints are right there.
Exactly, that's where you come back. So you're going through, you're defeating creatures, sort of exploring. When you defeat creatures that let off these little green blobs that are experience
points.
You can level up, and you level up automatically, just automatic stat boost. You don't have to. There's no skills or anything like that, which I kind of think. I think that might bog something like this down a little bit.
Yeah.
It could. When you die, you lose half of the experience you've gained, and you retain half, but the half you lost is in a little puddle. So like Dark Souls, you can go and reclaim your experience. And so anyway, so I'm going through this level, and I'm killing these guys, and it's very old school. You can put this little shield. When you die, you blow up, and it's like Mega Man.
Yeah.
And he actually said he was looking at it right before the thing, and he's like, oh my God, that looks just like Mega Man. So he ended up adding more to the explosion so it wouldn't look as Mega Man.
Right. It's literally like the energy blocks going. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah. I don't mean this to deride the game. I just think he's so in love with these games that all these influences are finding their way into them.
And he doesn't even realize it.
And he realizes and he embraces it. When I was interviewing him, he said, I love games and I love old games and I want to bring all the great elements of the old games together into this one game I'm creating. So anyway, I go up and I get to a point to where I get to this control panel, and I lock into the control panel, and all of a sudden now I'm steering the spaceship that was right a little bit away from him, but there was boulders separating my character and the spaceship, so I'm working the spaceship remotely. And it's okay, so I raise up the spaceship, and I have this tractor beam, and it'll lock onto these boulders, pick them up, and then fling them through the level, and there's this physics engine that's going on.
It's really good,
It's
too.
really pretty. It's really beautiful, especially since, like, the graphics are so old, like 8-bit NES, they have this physics engine working within them, like, it really stands out. And one thing I was talking to him about, and I said, in today's games, physics engines are so common now, you don't really notice them anymore. But in this game, you do.
It's very visible.
Because they stand out so well.
You're flinging it all over the place. One thing I would like to mention is that the controls, when you're piloting the ship, it reminds me of one of my favorite games from the Super Nintendo, which was Choplifter 3, in which you're flying across this 2D plane and you just pretty much go wherever you can,
right?
And it feels so good.
Yeah.
So my question was,
let me just finish one little thing here. So I move the boulders, I land the ship, and now I have an easy pathway to ship. I get down to the ground, to the ground level. I walk over and I get into the ship, and now it becomes this open world thing where I can just fly this ship anywhere in this world, land it, and go exploring. And there's caverns and there's like holes. I park the ship next to the hole and I'm going down the hole and exploring. And the whole idea is your girlfriend has exploded into 1,000 little pixels.
What it is there's this robot. She's a female,
right?
And she's infected you with a love virus.
Oh, see, did he tell you this?
No, I was talking. Like the PR rep or whoever that.
Because when I asked him, he said he didn't want to tell anybody because he was making an intro up. So he wouldn't tell me what the intro story was.
He should have helped his
he
person
also
that
told me. So
okay. Well, that was the thing. And then,
she told you guys, or he did?
He did.
Oh, he told you.
Whoever the girl that was working there told me that.
The guy told me.
Maybe he.
Anyway, just say it then.
Okay. The thing was, she infected him with the love virus, but robots aren't supposed to have love,
right?
And so they took her and they dismantled her into 100 pieces.
I don't know,
100-something pieces.
100-something pieces and scattered her, and so you're still infected with this love virus. So now you're seeking out to find her so you can put her back together.
Right.
And that's the premise of the game.
And not only that, but there's mini quests in between where people are looking. I need logs, and you find the logs, you bring them back, and they give you your experience and whatnot.
I'm really curious about what they're going to do with this collection mechanic with his girlfriend, because immediately as soon as I found one piece of her, I flashed back to Mega Man X2, in which you could collect the pieces of Zero, and if you collect all of them, you can rebuild him and play as Zero.
Maybe that'll happen.
So I'm wondering if once you've collected all these pieces, if a whole new way to play the game opens up.
Almost Castlevania-esque, like halfway through the game, maybe the math's going to flip upside down.
Yeah,
exactly.
But he's also a fan of space shooters.
Yeah,
which they can be good or they can be bad. But there's going to be different worlds. So we saw one world, and he said to get from world to world will be a space shooter where you have to shoot.
Oh, that's cool.
That's so exciting.
But there's so many great things going on in this game. I kind of fell in love with it pretty quick.
So my question or my curiosity was, I didn't get a chance to talk to him. He was busy talking to some other people, and I had something else to do. So in that 2D, when you get into your spaceship and you're flying around, you have your tractor beam. You can also shoot. And so my question is there going to be combat during that? Well, yeah, but the thing is, the physics combat. So would you be able to maybe pick up a boulder and fling it?
Yes, you can use
that
the
as a
boulder.
weapon.
Yes, you can. You can use the boulders.
That's so exciting.
Past that, and
I
can't wait for that. This game sounds amazing. Yeah. It looks amazing.
Is this just PC right now, or?
It's gonna be PC, iOS, and he said he's talking about other consoles, but he can't say anything, which is the standard.
Yeah, which is
similar case with Contrast as well. They're talking about other platforms as well.
You're going to hear that out of most of the indie developers right now because again, we're in a transition year between consoles. Yeah. The hardware manufacturers haven't announced how they're going to handle digital distribution, things like this. True.
So it's also the fact that I don't want to say PC's better overall all around, but it kind of isn't in just a way because you don't have to pay. I mean, you put it up through Steam, you do it through Greenlight.
For these independents, it is.
The independents, it's really simple. Like, what was the booth next to it? The Something Kings,
Mercenary Kings.
Yeah. Like they want to put it on PC. They're going to. It's going to be on Steam, and they want to add all these DLC packs. And I specifically asked him. I thought you said you can put it on Xbox, and I was like, he's like, yeah. And I was like, how are you going to handle the fact that Xbox does not let you do free DLC?
Right.
And he was like, well, that's the thing. We're probably not going to put it on Xbox until we've done all the DLC we want, so we can then release one version, because we don't want to have to pay. We don't want to charge people for the DLC.
Did you see their setup there? I want to ask him what console it was going to be on or what platform it was going to be on. He's like, well, he literally looked behind the screen. He's like, well, it's running on a Mac that's running Windows with Xbox controllers, so it's for PC.
Wow.
Did you see that little PC. Mac in the back?
Yeah. And only I understand that argument. There's the PC, great gaming platform for both developers and consumers.
Easy to develop on.
The thing is that when you put it on a console, you open up
there's a huge
much more broader
audience. Yeah,
that's a big market.
That's why they need it.
That's a big benefit. But you have to also remember is that market is going to shrink very fast in a year when everyone's going over to the new consoles.
Right.
Supposedly,
And
we don't know for certain.
What do you mean you don't know for certain?
We
But
don't
yes,
know.
no one's going to buy an Xbox 720 or PS4.
I'm just saying what
we don't know how XBLA is going to work.
Yeah.
Right. We don't. And I was going to say we don't know if an indie game comes out on Xbox 360, can they still get it on the Xbox 720?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that
we don't know
service
that
just
yet.
going
Does it transfer over?
As long as they're
Like-
not pulling a Sony or Nintendo bullshit,
No.
that could still happen.
So as long as they're not pulling the bullshit 2/3 of the big players are doing,
Yeah.
there's one more shot.
Well, with the PS4, they're doing a market
chance.
for indie. There's an app store for like indies on PS4. At least that's what they said they're doing. So.
Yeah, but I mean, with the PSN store and the Wii U virtual shops and all that bullshit, you purchase a game once, and if you delete it and you try to re-download it, you have to buy it again.
Where is this?
Really?
Versus with a 360, you can download it over and over and over and over and over again.
On the PS3, on the PSN, you have to repurchase it?
Yeah,
I don't know that.
Never had
I've
that
never
problem.
been in a scenario where I had to, so I
I thought it was
I
a,
have.
I thought it was attached to your account.
Well,
You pull up your-
Like Steam. Like Steam,
Yeah.
you delete whatever you want, just download it whenever.
I apologize if I'm wrong, but I'm
You're very wrong.
90% certain.
That can't be that would be insane.
No, I understand like switching consoles, because especially with the Wii U, the games are tied. Jesus Christ, the games are tied to the console. So I mean, if you
This is why I got a vasectomy right here. This is it.
and so
And by the way, they're probably maybe 11 or 12, and it's past midnight. Go to bed, kids. I'm 27 years old, going on 50.
27 going on 50. It's a good way to describe you, Chris.
well, anyway,
I wish we had a door we could bang on and be like, go to bed.
I'm a really crotchety
Like our
person.
neighbors.
anyway, that's Anne from Games by Mo.
Yeah.
Now, there's a game I want to talk about that I didn't get a chance to talk about yesterday, and I really hope that some of you played it today.
I did.
Apotheon.
I did.
I watched it, and I wasn't as taken.
Me and you, Bob.
You
Me
got
and
to. You had to get it in your hands.
So the one problem might be is the fact that this is literally the first time it's been on a TV.
Yeah.
I was talking to him. It's always been on.
I'm talking to him visually. So
It's always been on monitors,
Right.
and so they've never seen it on a TV. So it literally does not look as good. If you had gone over, did you see it on the PC?
I saw it on laptops.
Okay, so you
There's one laptop.
There was two.
And one big
There's
TV.
one laptop
Are
and a
you
TV.
sure you were looking at the right game?
Yes, it was like 2D with he's got a torch and the lighting goes and like he's got different weapons. I was watching him do combat and like the guys are just like stabbing in the air and I was like
You have to try it because
right.
it's,
Once you
it's-
play it, it's-
once you get your hands on the combat. It's very raw, but it really has that kind of Deadliest Warrior vibe. Where
does
it's,
it, like I saw them like running through each other and look a little bit buggy.
well, certain characters.
explain what it is.
Okay, so anyway,
Yeah.
Bob, you can take this one.
So Apotheon is a 2D kind of side scroller that pretty much looks like a Greek mural painting come to life.
Yeah.
And that's how you pronounce it? Apotheon?
Apotheon.
Okay, who took Greek literature?
It's
I took Greek, but I
Apotheon. Rather, it's
I did Latin.
I
I
can't,
took Greek.
I can't pronounce it.
College, but
Why didn't we ask the developer?
Apotheon. I don't know. Pick one. I don't care.
I think Apotheon sounds good.
Apotheon.
I think
Apotheon.
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 Apotheon. It sounds good if you say it like the Apotheon.
Apotheon.
One of you.
Let me take it back to my Apotheon.
Yeah, so the game is, it starts off with an army invading or bandits invading your town that are coming to.
Did you talk about? You didn't talk to him about the overall story of the game, right?
No, I don't know the entire story.
So
of the game.
what's going on? Yeah, I talked to him. I asked him some questions. What's going on in the world is the gods have left the people. They're gone, and so crops aren't growing. War, famine's broken out. Like everything's
so
gone to
deism
shit.
is broken down.
Yeah, it's not. And so this guy is kind of taking it upon himself to fix everything, and so
he's gardening and
sowing his crops.
essentially he's going around solving all the big
I see,
problems. And they were saying that some of the problems you solve are you approach the gods and kind of be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of elements to the game. There's all different types of weapons. There's swords, there's spears, there's javelins, there's throwing knives, there's a huge array of them.
You can throw any of them.
Yeah, you can physically throw them to do damage. You can visit a blacksmith. You can upgrade weapons. You can buy like shields, and there's no direct leveling system. But you will after certain encounters with bosses and stuff, you will then just gain stat boosts.
Well, you also certain bosses drop specific items that are fucking awesome.
Yeah. And so he was telling me you approach gods, but some gods, he didn't say who, you can't exactly fight. I mean, you literally are a man. You're not a superhero.
Right. You're not God of War.
Exactly.
You're just a man.
You're a guy.
You're Kratos if he worked in human resources.
And so he was saying
Walmart Kratos.
that some gods you can trick. You can find ways to,
Well, that's classic Greek mythology.
Exactly. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And another great thing, and I love when games do this, is it's the exact opposite of linear. You can do anything in any order, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And it's just the game. And I did have some visual problems with the game, but he was saying is just because it's originally gonna come out on PC on Steam, so it'll look much better on monitors. But they are gonna up-res like some of the graphics and the text and stuff like that. And there's also dialogue options.
Yes.
So nothing Brad's gonna
You can choose how you want to reply to
like
people's
at the
dialogue
beginning, a guy approaches you and he's like, "Hey, all this shit's going on. What are you gonna do?"
Yeah.
And you have the choice to be like, "Oh, well, let me go do this," or I don't know.
Yeah, fuck you. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
Where do I need to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, man, I don't know what else to say about the game. I know you had some problems. So what?
I didn't actually play it.
I know.
That was your
well, you
problem.
had problems with the visual style.
But no, it wasn't the
Or-
visual style. It was the combat style. What I was seeing with the combat, how it looked very haphazard, and it looked. So when you were explaining it to me, I expected it to be very, very technical, and it looked very sloppy.
I think it's over technical because you can actually all those weapons you can do any direction. You actually control which direction. So with a spear, you can shove it straight. You can shove it up. You can shove it behind you. You can actually control what direction. So you move with the left.
So maybe what
analog
it was,
stick.
the person I was watching wasn't
Yes.
very good, and
Yes.
I thought it was the game being sloppy when they were being sloppy.
You can jump up in the air and shove your javelin down into somebody.
right.
You can do it. It's very technical.
It's
which if you don't know how to play it, it might be a little difficult to
Okay,
approach.
maybe that's what I was seeing. Then.
It was a lot of fun. When I actually got used to it, I was able to kind of trick out the enemies and like throw shit at them over their shields, or use my axe that had a really long reach, and just even though they're putting up their shields, I was able to reach
Go over
rain
the
them.
shield. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
it's great.
I only played it for.
Did you beat the tutorial, the entire scenario?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I beat the entire
man,
scenario.
Maybe I should have played more because I got lost. It's this huge world. I mean,
It's big.
You can pull up the map. You can you'll enter people's homes and it'll bring up a new map, and then you'll enter like a village. You'll go into whatever, and so I thought it was. I kind of thought it was a situation where it's like the whole game.
No,
And so like I was.
It's not Swapper.
Yeah.
And I got a confirmation. The entire game was playable.
Yeah, so that's why on the show floor the game Swapper, the Swapper. Yeah, some people were playing for like 45 minutes, and like I played for probably a good 30 or 40, and I stopped myself.
Oh shit! I think I may have. I was thinking to myself when I was playing the swapper. I was like, God, it's a long demo. and then at one point I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and hand it to the next person.
Like my 45 minutes of state.
But I felt like because I was talking to the developer before that, I was afraid to be like, okay, I'm done. I thought he was gonna be like,
no,
oh,
it
you
was
didn't
the
want to finish
entire
the demo?
game.
But maybe I was sitting there. I could have been playing the game for an hour without realizing it.
Probably.
Yeah. So Joseph, I think you really did have someone that was playing it badly,
That's
because
probably what it was.
when I was playing and I was going through doing the different quests, I actually had a crowd coming up behind me going, "Oh fuck yeah!" Like seeing me like
totally different,
stabbing people,
and I was
throwing javelins at them.
and I was kind of waiting for my turn. It
Yeah.
was taking forever, and I was
Yeah.
thinking, all right, and I was like,
It's a long demo.
yeah, and I was thinking, all right, I'm just gonna move on because I'm not really impressed with what I'm seeing so far. So
Yeah.
Can you describe for me the visual aesthetic?
Well, just think of a Greek painting, like a
It's a
like
Greek
a-
like a Grecian urn.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly like that.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was, but
Yeah,
it just wasn't computing.
Like the ladders and stuff, or that kind of pattern, that hatched pattern they have on the urns, and there's actually kind of ladders you can kind of grapple across, like across the top. And they're the same hatched pattern. So there's visual indications like they have in the urns, the different patterns and whatnot represent different things within the world.
Okay.
So there's stairs and they have the different patterns there. So it looks like kind of like a stair.
Okay, because I've probably passed by this game a dozen times, but I never.
Looks like
Yeah, that's
See,
it.
I never actually stopped and looked. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I
really enjoy when I played it.
Yeah, I
I
really
actually
want to
really
pick it
dig
up.
that.
The style? Oh,
Yeah.
it's great.
So when's it coming out? What level was this on?
He said he wanted to get it out by the end of the year, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, was it a Kickstarter? Was it Steam?
Steam. It's gonna be
Steam.
Steam. It's the same team that did Capsized. And they did.
That was the game that I think Brad tweeted or something.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I said I played
We
it.
go see it.
Okay.
And I had already played it before you even
Cool.
talked about it.
I think it looks pretty cool. Where was it? I didn't even see it.
Is it indie?
It was just
On one of the corners.
It was across from the Swapper.
It was a very small sign.
directly across from the
actually.
Swapper.
It was a very small sign, though. You could
Sweet.
easily walk by.
When you
it.
say indie, though, that
I just got
kind
an
of
email from
Yeah.
Red Barrels with Outlast assets.
Sweet.
Nice.
Oh,
Get a
nice.
post up. Okay, so do you want to at some point cut it and take a break? And so we
Yeah.
How long have we been going for?
about almost an hour.
Okay, let's do that right now. So we're gonna take a quick break, and then we'll be back. You're listening to Cocktail Time PAX East 2013 podcast, and we'll be back. Day 3.
Cox.
And Cox.
Cox.
Yeah, there hasn't been nearly
Dun,
enough talk since
I had to leave for a little bit. I'm forgetting. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Cocktail Time Live. Actually, it's not live tonight. It's just regular Cocktail Time because we got kicked out of our room. It's regular Cocktail Time for PAX East 2013, Day 3.
Thank God they're gone to sleep.
All the children are gone.
We're back from our break. Thanks, everyone, for watching tonight. Thanks, everyone who kind of stood with us this weekend and watched our content over on 4playernetwork.com. And especially thanks to the community members who came out for our community meetup on Saturday and then stuck around and watched us do our very first podcast in front of a live studio audience, which was really exhilarating.
It was good.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Thinking about ways right now we can duplicate that setup too at home.
Right. So we can like have this sort of. We need coffee mugs with little 4-player logos.
No, not with an audience. He's talking about like.
Yeah.
No,
House party.
There's so many homeless people in Austin.
That's true.
yeah.
We can have a live studio.
What's the
audience.
video game?
I hear they do that in Hollywood. They'll fill empty seats with homeless people.
That's how they do the Late Show.
What you mean?
Really?
Like
Yeah.
Oh.
movie premiere?
You ever watch it?
No. Like
TV shows?
late night shows, like TV shows and whatnot.
They'll give them like $50.
Is that why they
They'll give them
never
like
show the audience?
$10 an hour, and they'll.
Or they only show like half of it. Or they zoom in on one person's face.
The one guy who isn't dirty.
They're just showing like one guy the whole time. He's like, ah. Like you zoom out, there's all these like hairy, gross smelling guys.
I mean, you've seen like the Iranian and the Korean, duplicated Photoshop pictures, right?
Yeah.
Just tons and tons of people and that bullshit. Yeah, that's just what we could
Special effects, what we say.
All right, where are we going?
Anyway.
Which before we move on, I apologize, but Joseph, I've known you for quite a while now. I've never noticed your tattoo.
Oh, the
Yeah.
vagina eye?
You ever saw the vagina eye?
I've never seen that before.
Oh, so I have a Kali tattoo on my outer forearm, and her legs are spread apart, and she has a very large vagina, and there's an eye poking out of it. And when I first got it, my mother's reaction was, "You need to get that one on the outside of your arm," because every time I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Oh, so how you doing, Mom?"
Yeah.
And I sit like this, and it's job interviews. I'm
you
like,
can't
"So,
see
tell me
it.
about this."
Well, it looks into your soul.
It does.
Whose
very
idea
piercing.
was the vagina eye?
It was the tattoo artist's idea.
Nice.
Did he tell you before he did it?
No, what we did is when I
Surprise.
got my sleeve done, none of it was pre-drawn. We took ballpoint pens and we just kind of doodled on my arm like this. We didn't like something, we're like, we'd lick it and like wipe it off. And when we found something we kind of liked, he just tattooed right over the doodle on my arm. That's how we did it.
You had doodle on
That's
your
a
Doodle, I
very
doodle on my arm.
unconventional way of doing sleeves.
Yeah,
or tattoos.
We didn't want. I didn't want to get anything from the wall or something like that.
Right, you don't want
so-
anything that anybody else is going to have.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a great idea for,
Yeah.
you want to figure out what your tattoo is going to be. Because, I mean, that's going to be on your arm for
Ever.
ever.
Yeah. When I first got it was kind of amazing. I got this whole section first, and we were just sitting there going, Jesus fucking Christ. And I was just touching my skin going, wow, that's like my skin now.
That's
it's
permanent.
so strange, you know?
I just
That sounds crazy.
when you were sitting like this, I was like,
You kind of saw for the first
Like
time.
The vagina.
Well, we don't see each other.
I was strangely, fixated, and
Right.
and now I think I'm
Somewhat
because of
aroused.
the vagina. I may have nightmares.
Well,
And that
we've
may,
known each other
that may
for
make my snoring
her
worse.
wandering eye.
we've known each other for
She
a
has
while.
wandering eye.
We've known each other for a while, but we've
I also
only
call it-
seen each other like 3 times.
She's got a
Yeah.
googly eye.
in person.
So what's with the sperm?
So that I get asked about. So on my right forearm, I have this sort of Aztec sort of tattoo, and it was supposed to be serpents, and these turned out like serpents.
Yeah, those don't
But
have any
these,
tongues.
These turned out like sperm. And
Once again,
Did he
on the
run out of
outside
space?
arm.
once again on the outside of my arm, viewable to the world. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Sometimes
not
you get sperm on your arm.
surprised.
And this one, I actually, this tattoo, I doodled on a diner napkin, and then brought it in, and they just
Did you draw it as a sperm?
I don't think I would have drawn it like sperm, but I don't. Maybe I did. Maybe I did.
So what?
Maybe it was just
tactile,
on the napkin.
bonus things do you get with that? Do you get like extra takedown?
I get extra ropes when I ejaculate.
Ropes? Speaking of ropes, let's talk about Quadrilateral Cowboy. I know Nolan wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, so I ended
Real
up
quick.
after finally. I mean, I remember hearing Bob talk about it from PAX
Yeah.
Prime last year, and we all played it this year. And so I finally went to go see it. And actually, I never got a chance to play it. There were some long lines, and I honestly do not like cutting people off when I don't have to.
Oh, yeah.
But I was talking to one of the. There was only one guy. Was there only one guy the whole
There's
weekend, or
2 guys there.
Okay, so when I went today,
There was a developer who was there.
the only one was a developer, and as I was talking to him, and I was like, "Oh, this game's great, and I love it. What were your, why were you into it, and blah blah blah." And so he was telling me about, sometimes just set off an alarm and blah blah blah. And I was like, what would be cool is if because I was like, are there enemies in the game? And he's like, well, there's alarms and stuff. And I was like, well, what if because you sneak into buildings at night to see, because I didn't realize there was actually a story behind the game. So for those that don't know, Quadrilateral Cowboy, you do hacking, essentially writing code to do things. So I didn't realize the protagonist, I guess he's kind of an antagonist. He gets hired to break into buildings
Right.
and hack into their systems.
It's like
whatever.
like Wall Street, like Occupy Wall Street sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, there's security guards in buildings, right? And he's like, well, they're traditional in this game. That's because it'd be cool if, you set off an alarm on accident, and so security's coming to where you are, and you can override, door locks and stuff like that, and, stop them from getting to you. And he's like,
Or trap them or something.
that's a really good idea. And I saw him like, hey, you can't use that without my permission. So I don't know, maybe that'll be in the final game.
Oh.
Yeah, see, I remember seeing this game at PAX Prime, and I felt intimidated by it.
I did too. Oh no, I have no coding background.
That's why I didn't play it
Yeah.
for 3 conventions.
yeah.
The problem was with the one at PAX Prime is that Quadrilateral Quadriplegic Cowboy
Quadriplegic Cowboy was what we used to call it on.
was next to
Code Hero. It was right next to
was
Code
next to
Hero.
Code Hero, and Code Hero was basically Learn Unity,
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah.
Which is
And I look at that, I
Yeah.
compare the two, and I guess I kind of
They should not have been
my
put
head,
next to
but
each other.
Jesus Christ,
No.
I have to do. Whoa.
yeah, it was Code Hero is incredibly intimidating. Most people playing it just didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Wait,
and then you go see Quadrilateral Cowboy, and you just see the same things. Like, oh shit, I don't want to get into that again.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I was having a blast. I mean, I the coding that I do is more web-based and stuff. But still, it's kind of the same.
It's a very simple subset of code, and anybody can get it.
Getting to that point though, where you start to just write lines of code without having to look at anything,
It's satisfying.
Super satisfying.
It's really satisfying.
Yeah.
and it's totally nerdy.
And now I feel so bad I didn't try it.
I was asking if he had tab completes because I'm really used to
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's like
Does
when
he?
No, I don't think he did. The one I asked him, because I'm used to using an IDE, an interactive developer environment, where you can actually pull up, you can autocomplete methods.
It's really helpful.
Methods and like you type, if it's
do you use?
door1.open, you can just type op tab, and it'll bring a list of the things that start with op, and it might just complete to open because that's the only one.
It's so wonderful.
What
when
ID
you
do you
get used
use?
to it.
Whatever I'm fucking.
There's a
doing at the time.
command that you can use to like recall the last command you typed in or something.
Up.
Up.
Yeah.
Actually,
like in
Yeah.
a shell.
what I wanted also was
Like
Control R, so I can do a
When did you
reverse
discover
search
that?
in history. Like because a lot of it is like shell based, so there's a lot of shortcuts that I know because I use shell every day.
Yep.
So Control R, if you type Control R and you're just typing a string, any kind of word, if you had typed it previously and it matches, it'll automatically pull it up.
Yeah. See, the
The
only
more
reason
specific you get, the more specific match you find.
the only reason I know that up brings back the last command is from playing Muds in 1999.
Oh yeah, mods.
Like Nick, I could
Definitely,
show you right now. I could pull up a terminal on your Mac, and I could run a command, and if you press up, it'll just bring back that command.
Yeah, actually, I can open. No, I can't. I don't have internet,
Yeah, no,
but I could open
yeah.
a shell
Yeah.
and pull that out.
But anyway,
But like I
I
was
need to go
saying,
back to
I
school.
saw. Now
took the
that
wrong
I've
shit.
seen this game again, I feel so bad for not actually getting around to playing it.
Oh, man,
It's fun.
me too. I was like,
I thought it has something to do with the cowboy. No. It actually has nothing to do with the cowboy.
Imagine if you were a cowboy and you had to hack the guns of your enemies.
Oh, it's like if you
During a
read any
duel.
kind of a.
It's
No,
It's
you're in a
Red
duel
Dead with code.
Yeah, like you're in a duel, and all of a sudden they're gonna put the gun, and all of a sudden, whoosh, time slows down, and he's pulling up his gun like slowly, and in the time you have to hack the gun, or you can hack the bullets.
table.
Or he's going to
It's gonna be super
Or
loud.
you had to enter the command for firing your weapon. Yeah.
Oh, that. Wait a second.
What's
What's PAX
the
Prime?
firing a weapon?
Bob, can you code this?
Yeah.
I mean, you're already working on a game.
Already working on a game.
Which one day you'll actually
Which one day we
show
will
it to
talk
us.
about.
Yeah, one day.
Bob is
Soon as I
actually
get some
coding a
art for it.
game right now.
But we don't need to talk about that. We can talk about games that other people are actually working on.
Neptunia 4.
Let's talk about State of Decay.
Okay, so I
We
played.
should talk about.
So here's what happened.
We have a history of State of Decay.
We do have a history of State of Decay. People who have watched our coverage of PAX Prime last year will remember State of Decay. It's an open world. So it's not. So what I discovered today, and I've kind of known this, but I came to this conclusion today, is that this is not really a zombie game. This is an apocalypse management game, and the apocalypse just happens to be zombies. Because it's a complete open world, and you get these base camps, and you can build gardens, and you can build training areas, and you can build kitchens in these camps, and then you find other people out in the world, and you bring them back, and maybe one's a good cook, so you make him a cook, and then you get bonuses.
You know the character I played as today, like, 'cause when you open up their profile and it gives you a list of like, they're good at. He's a mechanic. But then it starts listing things like he's sleazy, and then one of them says
Everyone has negatives too.
Yeah, but then they always have some kind of useless, completely useless fact or useless talent. And my character's talent was sexting.
Oh, that makes this game so much better.
Yeah. So everyone has these negatives that sometimes will come out. So if you start like neglecting them or do okay,
Well, he started like sexually harassing the other people. in the
No, I
colony?
don't think so. Okay, this game is
But
difficult
it-
to talk about because
it
it's
can-
so deep. So your relationship with the people in your camp, and you get multiple outposts and a main home camp, is very important for a couple of reasons. Number one, they'll do things for you. They'll give
Right.
you bonuses if they do their activities well.
There's a lot of like resources that you have in the game.
You have to find resources. Like he said, you can open up. So we built a kitchen in this place. It's like, okay, now you have a kitchen, and you don't have a cook yet. But if you have a cook, he can do this, which is make a big meal, which gives everyone plus 20 vitality. But once you choose him to do that, at some point while he's trying to do it, because it takes sometimes like a half hour, he might come to you and go, "Hey, I don't have enough of this type of meat. I can't complete this action until you go out and get it." So now you have to go out and get this
This is
meat
something like
for him.
Dwarf Fortress.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden now if you don't, so let's say you go out and get this meat. Okay, I'm fighting the zombies and I go and I find some meat. Okay, so I go in this house and I find the meat, but on the way I found something else, and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to bring this meat because I want to go see the other thing. You can call back to your outpost and have someone else bring the meat, get the meat, right? But they don't just appear there; they're really
run
in the world.
Right.
So, and if they're a weak character, you might get a phone call 2 minutes later, "Help me! I need you to help me! I'm trying to get this stuff, but I need help." You have to go and save them. Even if you go save them, they're going to be pissed off at you because you gave them this job to do that they almost got killed at.
Yeah.
And if they get pissed off at you enough, they start really moping around the camp and not doing their job very well. And eventually they'll
Sexting other people.
Sexting other people.
Can they even leave?
So they'll leave, and if they leave, so when you die, the only way you have another life is by entering the body of someone else in your camp. If everyone leaves your camp, if you die,
no
you're
lives.
dead and
Yeah.
game over.
real quick,
So
can
you
you
have to
just-
manage these relationships.
Can you describe what this game looks like? I never got around to playing.
Third-person shooter.
It looks like Dead
Dead
Rising.
Rising.
It looks like Dead Rising.
It's basically like Dead Rising actually realized, not an amusement park.
Open world.
The
Yeah.
map is the size of Grand Theft Auto 3, which
That's
is
pretty big.
pretty large. And the thing that blows my mind is not only is it completely seamless, there's no loading times in and out of buildings or other areas on the map, it's a downloadable game. It's an arcade type.
Yeah.
It's an XBLA game.
When is
It's
it?
an
When is it
XBLA.
coming out?
Well,
They don't have a solid release date
they're
yet.
working on that.
Nobody has solid release
Yeah,
dates.
but this
Pretty
is,
soon. They're at code final and they're doing bug fixing right now.
Yeah.
You mean PAX East?
Yeah, well, that's part of it. So there's tons of weapons, there's tons of guns, there's melee weapons, like there's golfs, there's shovels, there's broadswords, there's like he put up a list of guns. He's like, yeah, they never told me when to stop, and they're going and going and going. He's like, oh my, I had to kind of break down the ammo a little bit more. So the MP5 uses 9mm ammo, which isn't really right, but it was getting a little crazy with the ammo too. So we just sort of mushing up the ammo
it
together.
is just insane.
I mean, guns
how
will
many
start
items. I mean,
jamming.
PAX Prime, the stuff he showed us, there was a shitload of stuff.
There's
But
even
now
more.
it's even 3 times as big.
Which brings me to my concern. I love this game and I'm really excited for it. It's so deep and there's so much and there's so many different elements to it. The game I played today was still really buggy. Was really buggy.
Yeah, you think there's too much?
There's a lot of textures weren't loading in. There was a lot of things going on. Camera going
animations are a little
crazy.
rough.
Animations are rough, and I'm just worried. When you spend a lot of time doing one thing, it takes away from time. Resources are finite.
Yeah.
And they've got
I'm
a
hoping
small team.
They have a small team. I'm hoping they didn't go for this giant bite, and the product's going to be buggy because of that. That's my one fear because this can be probably one of the best, deepest XBLA games ever put
One of the
out.
best zombie games in a while.
One of the best zombies games in a while because it's not really the zombies are just peripheral. It's all about the management of these people. It reminds me of my favorite zombie game, Day of the Dead, which was also
movie.
It was a movie.
It was a film.
It was a film. No, I was going to say it's by Sam Raimi, but it's not Sam Raimi. It's by the original Night of the Living Dead guy.
George Romero.
George Romero did it. But I think it's his best one because it focuses on these characters who are in this underground military base, and you have the two characters, the two groups of characters, which are the military.
Day of the Dead?
Huh?
You said Dawn of the
Day of the Dead.
Okay, Day of the Dead. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
military
The 80s
people.
film.
Yeah,
the
I know.
military people and the scientific people,
Right.
and it's all about their interaction.
Yeah.
The zombies are just kind of there.
Their atmosphere.
Yeah, their atmosphere. It's all about the people
It's the same
trying to
reason
survive
why
and get along.
Same reason why The Walking Dead is so popular.
Exactly. Yeah. The zombies are just sort of there for flair. And this game's kind of the same way, and I love that about it. And I want them to spend the time to fix the bugs and polish it and make sure these textures come in. I mean, I was getting tons of frame rate issues, and I want them to take the time to make it
Two things.
good, make it great.
Two things for me. First of all, is comparing it atmospherically to something else was, as far as on console goes, read the Undead Nightmare. It's very it's open like that, but getting the feeling of walking around an open world and just kind of like there's nothing around, and then all of a sudden you look over and you can see a couple zombies off in the distance wandering around kind of aimlessly. Like that's super cool. It's not like they're not inundated. The world is not inundated with zombies, but when you alert them, it's terrifying.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. But this blows my mind. You can get into any vehicle in the game that's running and drive it, but there's also the vehicles. This is an island. The vehicles in the game are the vehicles in the game.
Yeah.
If you crash and destroy every vehicle in the game, there's no more vehicles.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They don't just spawn randomly. They're gone.
And it's not just that; it's every single item in the game.
Yeah.
So there's
On your
limited
first
resources.
There's limited resources.
You will run out
Oh,
of
wow.
items, and it's game over.
When I was
awesome.
When I was talking to him today, he said they still haven't figured out exactly how many hours you could play this game because you could essentially play this game until you use the very last health item.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I got into a position where I was, I went out and I did this. I was just looking for stuff for this other person, and I was like, and I was down to like almost no health, and I'm in scavenge mode, and I'm getting in cars and going to houses and trying to go through houses. I'm like, oh my god, here's a bathroom. Fuck, there's no medicine in here, and I'm just panicking. It was just an amazing. It was a survivalist sort of thing. It was.
It's
so
really
much good
surprising
stuff.
just how many ways you can envision this game being played.
Yeah, I mean, there's the just fuck around in the world way.
Yeah, there's the
hardcore
leader,
RTS like management way you can do it.
There's the caretaker and the AI management guy.
Yeah.
Or I can even imagine a guy that just does a permadeath run and stays alive as long as
Yeah, like you don't switch
good,
bodies.
yeah.
Yeah.
several hundred hours of gameplay.
So
in that alone.
can you have your the people at your home camp? Can they drive cars, or is it just you?
They can.
They can. They will help you out. You can bring them out on missions and
So
stuff.
can I have them drive me somewhere?
I don't know. I don't know if you can.
I did have an experience today where I was being swarmed by zombies and this one was coming at me, and then all of a sudden I was getting ready to hit him, and all of a sudden this other dude just comes out of nowhere and just bam hits me over the head and then just starts like hitting him, and I was like, oh, thank you.
So could I drive somewhere with someone and have them take my car back to the?
I don't know. I don't know if it's. I don't know if it's like
I just
that.
have this vision of collecting every single car in the game and having like this like parking lot. You
want to
No, you make this
You
fortress
really
of cars to
Yeah.
keep the zombies at bay.
But
This car castle.
But you would have to go fetch them yourself.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. If
you
I
can make
could
a
have
car castle.
have them drive me out there and then drive my car back or something
The
like
thing
that.
is, the world is so big. You would since you're in the you would have
You have to walk to the
You would
cars
really have
You have
first.
to walk to the car.
which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
and it's terrifying in this world sometimes because there's zombies everywhere and you can get overwhelmed really fast.
Yeah.
Now, the only complaint I have, outside of the technical issues obviously right now, is that it's not. I forgot what it's not contextual damage on zombies, so you
No.
can't like shoot, you can't
So
shoot
no
them in the-
locational damage.
Yeah, you
No.
can't shoot them in the
Yeah.
leg
Okay.
and have them trip and fall over.
So the action aspect of it is very general. Like you're just swinging a bat and swinging a bat. There's finishing moves, but you're just swinging a bat. You're just shooting a gun.
Yeah.
It's also stamina based when it comes.
It is stamina based with that stuff.
I mean, don't get me wrong, shooting zombies still feels good, but you will notice the moment you try and cap them in the knees and they don't fall over, it's like, that
yeah.
sucks.
Which is why I mean, it's just
goofy.
an idea like, well, the zombies are just kind of flared. It's not about the zombies. Like this could have been a meteor thing, and these could be bandits.
They're
you
more
know?
of just a roadblock to keep you from getting to your objective.
Yeah, basically, it's all about the survivability. It's all about your partners. The other thing we should mention is that everything makes a noise. Everything you do makes a noise. So as you're
You can
driving,
drive down the street in like a cop car, turn on the siren, and you'll watch the zombies come running out of houses and start chasing the car.
And if you look at your mini map, there's a blue, there's a blue circle that surrounds you. And
noise
the more
radius.
noise you make, the louder, the bigger that circle
So since
gets.
resources are limited, are zombies limited as
That
well?
was one thing I wanted to mention.
I don't know.
I don't think they are. I think
That's
they are.
unfortunate. They should be.
But I think it should be like
You can clear
more
the island.
simulated in that way. I
Yeah.
mean, you can. You
Well,
should be able to clear out the entire map.
I think there should
and
be
free your
500,
And you win.
500
Yeah.
bodies
Yeah.
on
That's
the
how you
island. Some of them not zombies, some of them
Maybe the
are, and
difficulty
some of them
level is
can
like the
switch.
number of bodies, like maybe
Yeah.
it's 100,
And then if you
500,
die, your
1,000.
guy becomes a zombie. You add it to the horde.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
no, I think that would be. I don't.
You know
so
what?
You don't think?
You know
that-
what?
I don't think it
there
is.
is some pretty low res textures. Let's let them do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I wanted to ask was, did they ever put in the multiplayer they were talking about?
No.
So no multiplayer at all.
I think
Okay.
they're focusing right now on getting this game out.
That makes
bug
sense.
fixes, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
I will say this though, especially for a title that's downloadable, it's actually a really pretty game. Like, I mean, not in technical bugs aside.
Well, you have
like
to put it in context of the scope.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
For
I
a
mean, it's,
360 game.
no, but like as far as like the world design goes, it makes me think a little bit of like Alan Wake, like those the mountains,
The forested
forests.
area actually are kind of nice.
Yeah,
They're very nice, but
What do you think? Here's one question. What do you think the size of this game is going to be for download?
she said, "Oh,
I wonder.
2 or 3.
I would say-
Yeah, I would say 3 gigs.
Yeah, at least
4 most.
between 3 and
I mean, it doesn't
6.
really matter, but now I'm just sort of just
Depends on-
curious, like how much stuff
that's gonna
is
be
in
a
here.
pretty hefty down."
You know, it depends on the compression system they use. Because remember, Skyrim was 9 gigs, and that was it. And people were like, "Hey, why is this only 9 gigs?" And they were like,
No
"No, don't
HD
worry.
textures.
Don't worry, no HD, no HD textures."
That's why.
Yeah.
But I would like to mention we more than likely mentioned this at PAX Prime when we talked about the game. But Undead Labs has said repeatedly that State of Decay is actually a first step towards what they want to actually
That
do.
it was going to be like
It
it's
started,
World of
it started
Decay.
as an MMO.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
It's the
It's
project.
That'd
going
be
to
interesting.
be an MMO that just takes this concept and amps it to 11.
So
Right,
your
that's what I was
friends,
talking
your
about the-
friends have camps,
Yeah.
and you can interact.
So
with
almost
each
like
other,
DayZ.
Yeah.
It
but more fleshed out.
More
So in a way.
RTS elements.
That's what I'm saying. More
and stuff.
fleshed out, a better system.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking about the
Oh, I see what
multiplayer
you mean. I don't-
aspect,
you know,
because I
they-
didn't know about like if they
They didn't mention it, but I think right now they're just trying to get. They're in like, let's just get certified and let's just get
Yeah.
going,
Yeah.
You know, so they're. I don't think they're talking about that right now because
They don't have they don't have the team to do it. They really don't.
They're,
The
I think
MMO is
they're,
way too much
they're
for that.
looking for this to take off, and then hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they get certified in time to be on Summer of Arcade, but I doubt it.
I
they
think
would make a
they
great
will.
Summer Arcade.
They should do
That'd be really good.
State of Decay and then World of Decay.
Nation of Decay first.
They're doing
then
Nation of Decay.
Are they really?
They were going to do World of Decay. It was supposed to be...
Let's get bigger, bigger.
Well, maybe the Nation of Decay could be the multiplayer, and then World of Decay can be the MMO.
MMO, yeah. That sounds...
Social
great,
management apps. You can manage your guys while you're at work. Be like, okay, you get some resources here.
Oh, you get some people
Jimmy
around?
is not doing a goddamn thing. Jimmy, make us some fucking food.
I mean, this because it's so management heavy. That is something that's.
You know, it's totally management heavy. I mean, every decision you make is a management decision. I mean, like, okay, so I need to get these resources. I can send Fred, who likes me, and he's a good fighter. But is he really worth risking for Tom to do this other thing? Maybe I should send Tom, who's a little bit weaker, but if I lose him, it's not so much of a big deal. Because I think any mission...
Everybody hates Tom.
Yeah, everybody hates Tom. I think any mission, you can send someone from your camp to do it.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful of losing them or not, and are they worth it?
Let's send Merle. Nobody likes Merle.
Yeah, exactly. I want to make these decisions.
He keeps texting me. I fucking hate that.
You know what I want to do? I never want to leave camp. I want to fucking
Chris
throw.
caught it.
I want to throw, and I want to stand there, sit there in my throw, and be like, "Send Jim."
Well, one
Bring
thing
me
meat.
Bring me meat.
I would like to mention. So everybody here at this table is looking forward to this game.
Oh yeah.
Okay. What if I told you that there is another zombie game that's 90% like this that's coming out later this year?
Whoa. You're not talking about zombie ice cream, are you?
No.
Okay.
Weird. I don't think we should talk about that game because we were kind of grabbed out of the aisle and forced to play.
What happened? What was zombie ice cream? That doesn't sound like it tastes very.
Sounds like an iPad. What is the game you worked on?
No, but I want to hear about zombie ice cream book if you don't mind. I mean, is it a board game?
You know those.
This is a story of you getting pulled into something. It sounds interesting.
You know those games where it's like, it's like Diner Dash.
Yeah.
With zombies.
It's Diner Dash with ice cream and zombies.
Nick was right.
Yeah,
Move on.
exactly.
I actually found it was weird because I got one of the Secret of Ponchos guys was walking around the floor. Was like, "Hey, have you seen Secret of Ponchos?" I was like, "Yeah,
we were
love it."
this morning. He came
this
up
morning,
and he was trying to sell us some Secret Poncho. I'm like,
No, we fucking love it. We played
love
a ton of it.
You don't gotta sell
You
me.
should have came to me.
Yeah.
I didn't go back.
I went back and played a lot more.
And you kicked ass apparently.
Going back to this other zombie game, it's actually called Dead State. It was a Kickstarter project.
That sounds familiar to me.
yeah,
really familiar.
it's a isometric turn-based strategy game. You know, in the same style of, for example,
reminds me of
Crusader, for
Zomboid.
example, or
Project
classic
Zomboid.
Or
XCOM.
Zombies, the board game. Which is kind of fun.
That's a good game.
Yeah.
You do the same exact thing. You go out to the world, you collect resources, you build up a base, you find survivors, you manage relationships with characters.
Yeah.
You do the same exact thing. Except it's turn based. You know, the sound system, the sight system,
Really?
everything. You
So
possibly
it's much
think
more
of.
like a tactical game.
Visually, what is it like? What system?
It's on PC.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly all their Kickstarter goals. They missed the last stretch goal, which was like 270,000. But I mean, that was supposed to be like a mini expansion just for backers.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
they got everything else they wanted in the game.
Okay.
Awesome.
But it's very much like a classic isometric strategy game. You know, turn-based. You'll go into a building, for example, that you're going to loot, and it's got so many mechanics like lock picking and scavenging through shelves and
Right.
stuff like that. And those happen over turns. Okay. Well, you can be sighted by a zombie, and you can attack it during your turn with a melee with a melee weapon. Okay, that uses up that character's turn. You can also have an AI partner that comes with you and maybe shoots with the shotgun. But because the shotgun is loud, it may cause other zombies that are in the area to come looking for you. And you characters have turns, but then the zombie horde also has turns. So it becomes this really interesting turn-based game.
That's awesome.
That could be cool.
You know what I'm finding? What's interesting, and I realized I thought of this when I was watching Apotheon, even though I didn't like it when I was watching it, is that as we're watching all these AAA games become more homogenized and become more like the same, there's like this indie rebellion that is coming up and going, hey, remember all this cool shit that used to make games great?
Yeah.
We're going to keep doing that. These Metroidvania things, these RTS things, these management things, these things that got us into gaming in the first place, these randomly generated things that make it interesting each time. I was like procedurally generated.
You had such a problem with that word.
I don't know why.
So that whole both of y'all that whole
it's just
thing.
interesting, this rebellion that's happening. It's like a grassroots movement.
No, it is,
that's
and it's
happening.
good. It's perfect. And I've talked about it on podcasts before in the past. I'm like, who thought this? We're talking about a game. I'm like, who thought this was a good idea? These AAA games, and they're doing stuff. I'm like, who on the team was like, let's do this, and everyone else was
not
like,
the team.
okay, no, yeah, exactly. It's not the team. It's someone higher up that's like, you should put this in the game. I like this.
No,
They're like,
no.
we're not going to fund you unless you do this.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
You're not going
we're
to
not going to take these risks.
You're not going to
with
get
our
any
money.
of our money.
And so
we are
that-
investors.
Yeah.
And you're not going to
It's
invest.
a business now. It turned into a business instead
And
of
it's
a hobby
unfortunate.
and a passion.
And you know what's funny is like I spoke to a bunch, of course, a bunch of indie developers, and a lot of ones who were here for the first time. I think in particular Mo, who made Ab, and Alexis, who made Legend of Dungeon. Was that her name?
Yes.
Yeah.
They both said the same thing. Like, we came here and we kind of expected to be like a high roller sort of like a competitive thing, and they're like, it's not like that at all.
No.
Like all these indie people, they're all helping each other out.
It's awesome.
And there's like indie people, other developers over there who are telling people to come over here to look at my thing. Like, I can't believe it.
I was looking at
they cannot believe the cooperation that goes
a
on.
community.
The community aspect of it.
At Mo's booth, they were wearing the stickers for the tribute guys that were the mercenary kings. They were right next to each other, so they kept like wearing each other's swag.
And they were telling us, go see Anne. Go take a look at this.
And imagine as someone at The Last of Us, like, just go play Tomb Raider. It's really awesome.
Never in the world. Oh man. Yeah.
But going along that theme, it seems that the zombie genre is going to be one of the first things of this indie revolution, if you will, that sees a renaissance. I mean, we're looking at these. They're all the genre. It was so it hit its peak so long ago.
Oh god, yeah. The ridiculous number of zombie games that are horrible.
Yeah, but with these indie developers, they're taking those ideas and they're actually developing concepts that make fucking sense.
Yeah, they're making good games.
And you're going to have Decay, you've got Daisy.
Yeah, I think Nolan, you hit the nail on the head. They're just making good games.
Look
Like,
at Walking Dead Survival Instinct.
But it doesn't.
It's a piece of shit.
And it has zombies. The zombies is not the glue. It's just the good games they're making.
It's
good
the
games.
gameplay. It's
It could be
mechanics.
anything. It could be circus management and state could be State of Circus, and it would still be a great fucking game.
Yeah.
because of
As
the
I was when I was walking through, I was constantly surprised by games I saw that I thought were bland, but had some really solid mechanics behind them. Like we went over to the DigiPen booth and we saw Perception,
Yes.
which has a very simple mechanic behind it.
Yes.
Perspective.
Wait, what did you say?
Perception.
It's the same word.
It's
just a different
It technically means the same
conjugation,
thing, yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So Perspective it's an indie game that was developed by a
It's not-
student at DigiPen.
indie,
It's an indie game.
By the way,
There's no publisher.
Wow, that was one hell of a transition.
That was actually smooth as butter.
We probably spent half.
I was about to.
And
I
now we're
was
talking about it, which is the worst thing ever.
That was so
That always
smooth
happens
as
on
a
transition.
14-year-old
Perceptive.
Irish girl's thighs. What?
Even looking at the girls. So Perspective it's an indie game where you DigiPen game where you can you have a guy. Your viewport is basically the view of a 2D plane. So you can move around in 3D, but whenever you stop and click your mouse, you go into a 2D view.
So actually, I think of it very similar to Contrast.
Yeah, exactly.
I think of it
Yeah.
like we're in this room. We're in this room, and you're controlling somebody that's running
on walls,
running on the
basically.
walls. But he can only step on certain color, which is blue. There are blue things, and so if there's nothing below him, he will fall. And as he's falling, there's an entire orange which he can't touch, like a square around the
border,
window,
the
the
window.
view, what you're looking sweeping through. And so you have to constantly switch in between this 2D and 3D realm, similar to Contrast. So you go into 3D and you can walk around. You're literally physically walking around the room.
Change your perspective.
Exactly. You change the perspective of what the guy can walk on. So that it's not just what he can walk on. You can make him bigger and smaller by getting closer and farther away.
He's always the same size on your screen.
He is physically the same size on the screen. So if you need him to get over a very high obstacle, just back extremely far away, and he'll become large, and he can then conquer some. Oh my goodness!
So there's singing going on. We're not exactly sure what's going on. We apologize. They're doing it. So if they come over here, I'm gonna have them sing for the podcast. If they actually come up the if they come up the stairs, I'm gonna bring them over here and they will sing for us.
Oh God, there's children.
That's fine. We're not gonna talk about dicks.
But it's 1:30 in the morning.
They're drunk though. This is not.
They're drunk children. Shh. Wait. Listen.
They're much happier than we are.
Yeah, that's like Honey Boo Boo.
It's the Irish Honey Boo Boo.
Oh God.
Good stuff.
That timing was impeccable. All
right. Okay.
So Perception was.
It's free. You can go download it.
Yeah, and that's the best thing about it,
Yeah.
is because
It's free.
it was a school project. It was their final project. They can't sell it, so it's
good.
available online to play for free. And I don't even know how much of it we played, but I loved all of it.
It's a lot of fun.
Digipen has some great stuff. A friend of mine. So. My friend Sick Brain, who shut up, he became a community member, but I've known him since 1998 on this other forum that we knew each other called Team Fortress Refugees. But another friend of mine named Axel went to DigiPen.
Axel Rose?
No, just Axel. And now he works at Epic Games. Actually, he first did work on he worked on Psychonauts.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And then he got hired at Epic, and he moved to Virginia, and he works for Epic Games.
That's a really
awesome.
good.
And he's working on he's working on Fortnite actually.
Oh, nice.
Can you?
I tried to interview him. Actually, I don't know if you
Without
guys
getting him fired.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I tried to interview him for us. Maybe the first year you guys came to PAX, and I almost secured it, and then the PR people said no.
that sucks.
Talk to
people. PR people do not want developers talking to anyone.
Yeah.
Because they can't control them.
No, they can't control themselves.
But that's the thing.
Bob's like, as a developer, they can't. I know
The developers,
they, can't control
they love
us.
what they're doing, and they want everyone else to
so
know about it, so they can.
Yeah, they're so passionate. Let me tell you this great thing I did the other day for the game.
Yeah.
And
PR's
PR's like, no.
You can't say that.
I've got friends that are.
IGN has an exclusive.
A 4-day exclusive.
Yeah.
I've got friends that are in the development community who are working on a ton of really cool projects.
Yeah.
But I know the minute I open my mouth, because they kind of share a few little hints, they're afraid for their jobs.
Well, here's what's funny is I live in Seattle, of course, and I have a lot of developer friends. And as one friend of mine runs a industry board night, a board game night, where they all get together and they drink and stuff. But it's developers and stuff. And I was like, hey. And I got invited, and I was like, well, I can't make it. It was on a Wednesday when we do I do our broadcast, we have our meetings and stuff. I said, hey, I can't make it. I'm sorry. I would love to. I would love to meet these people. But honestly, I'm media.
Yeah.
Would I like drag this party down? Like,
They're all just like sitting there not talking at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's a serious question. I mean, it's off the record, and I would never write about anything that someone said while they were drunk or something like that. I just don't do that. But if they knew I was a media guy,
They shut that shit down.
Yeah, I don't want to make your party lame. I don't want to fuck up your party by showing up.
I have a good friend, and we technically know each other since high school. But when I started writing about video games, and he got into developing and stuff, we would hang out at parties, and he would be fucking terrified of going anywhere near me.
Yeah, see, it's
it
weird.
took me a year and a
Michael?
half of just drilling it into his head that whatever you say, I will never write unless you specifically tell me to.
Yeah, unless you say it's off the record, you can write it, or it's on the record, and I can write it. Then it's okay. But I will never write anything that you just spout out. But this is their livelihood and their job.
Oh, yeah, exactly. They can't take that risk all the time.
They're making 6 figures, and I'm not going to risk 6 figures in a job I love for somebody.
You
who's
wouldn't
giving
want to
me
risk
their
that
word.
for That's a terrible transition.
If you want to risk that,
If you would have said a game, that would have been okay.
So when you're talking to
You-
developers,
you-
you like to figure out what
Why would
happened,
you do
what went
that?
wrong, and with
you
games
wouldn't
like
want
Call
to
of
delve
Juarez,
deep
the
into that
cartel,
kind of situation.
You know, you'd want to figure out what's going on with the Call of
Actually, Bob did it
I
wonderfully.
did way
Can you
better.
Well, I didn't hear him. I was
So when you're talking to developers, you want to figure out what's like some projects that bombed, like Call of Juarez Cartel. What the fuck
We're
happened?
gonna do this. We're gonna do this. Okay, we're gonna go around the table and everyone do their own transition. Let's see who's the
I'm
best.
afraid we probably don't have time for that.
Really? We can do it real quick.
No, you want to try?
Let's try
Yeah,
real quick.
go real quick.
Okay. You know, I don't think we should. I don't think developers in that situation would want to. I'm sorry. I don't think developers would.
This is already the worst one.
I don't think developers would want to delve as deep into that situation.
All right, there's Joseph.
All right,
Nick.
Go ahead.
Anyone else care to try?
I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I really don't want to jump the guns of Icarus.
These are all fucking awful. Come on, Nolan.
Why? I don't even know what games are on here.
We should do this every time. Everybody just.
You're gonna look at the games we have left. to talk
Bob already
about.
had his.
Oh, Bob already had his. Okay. What? I gotta just look at what we have left.
Call of Juarez, Gunslinger, Metro, Dropcord, Castle Story.
I'm gonna just move on to Korea.
Yeah, I don't got one for anything
Speaking
that I
about
have.
building something up, let's talk about Castle Story.
No, that one. That one was legitimately bad.
The Call of Juarez one was the best.
Okay.
All right,
I thought mine was pretty good.
I wouldn't play. That was pretty good. I wouldn't play Call of Juarez Gunslinger today.
So I wanted to play that, and I completely fucking forgot.
I walked up there.
I saw it during the last 10 minutes. And I went there, and they were doing raffles, and I couldn't play it because everybody was in front of the fucking booth.
I kicked myself later.
I walked up and there was like 10 people lined up, and I was like, excuse me, is this the line for Gunslinger? And they were like, no. I'm not in line. I was like, okay. And I go to the person in front. I was like, is this the line for Gunslinger? No, it's not.
It's because
where the fuck is the line?
there
And
were
I-
5 games
No,
there.
and then I
Yeah.
tapped someone and was like, is this the line for Gunslinger? And he's like, no. And then like at the same time, everyone in the line kind of like, without, talking to each other, kind of moved to the right on accident. And I was like, oh, this is the line for Spartacus. There's nobody in line for Call of
What's
Juarez.
Spartacus?
There's one booth for Spartacus. It's like it's a Spartan game. Like
Okay.
themed. I don't even know what the fuck it is.
Is it
I
a
saw it.
1 versus 1?
Well,
how did I not see this?
Ubisoft's been done that for almost every single title they've had, except for fucking Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell, and Watch Dogs. They get one station and one station only,
Yeah.
and they announced a brand new title, Might and Magic 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have
the
one
next-
station.
Well, this is more specifically how they handle their downloadable titles.
I didn't even know this was there.
Well,
Like, I
that's
never
a
saw
damn
it.
Well,
poor decision. in my
Just
opinion.
remember, State of Decay was supposed to have just one.
And they had to fight for it.
And Sonya bitched about it. She's like, no, give me another one. So, Gunslinger is the follow-up to Call of Juarez the Cartel. Nothing to do with Call of Juarez the Cartel. Here's what I'll say about it. First of all, it's a downloadable title, so it's a little bit smaller in scope. And it's linear, story-driven. Classic Western tropes are all over the place here. This is a spaghetti Western through and through.
And I think we should put in the disclaimer: Nick here fucking loves anything Western.
I love
I
Westerns.
love spaghetti western.
There's not enough
good.
Western.
I just love spaghetti.
Oh, absolutely.
Dark Watch.
Yes, I fucking love Dark Watch.
That being said, I am automatically, I'm kind of biased against this title at all.
You don't like spaghetti westerns?
No, it's not that. I love westerns. I love good.
You don't like
Christian
white
film.
people.
No.
Did you say you love?
He doesn't like white people.
Did you say you
said-
love good Christian films? What
I
do you?
said I love a
That's
good
what I
Clint
heard.
Eastwood film.
You hate you don't like Clint Eastwood.
I love Clint Eastwood.
What are you saying?
Speak it. Speak words.
I'm saying that I'm automatically biased against it because it's
Oh, you don't
developed
like it.
by Techland.
Oh, you hate Techland.
Well, Techland did Call of Juarez Bound in Blood, which is
And they did the original Call of Juarez,
which, as I understand, were
believe.
pretty decent games.
Well, I didn't like Call of Juarez. I didn't try Bound in Blood because I didn't like Call of Juarez, and then I couldn't stand Dead Island after like the first section.
I
Okay.
barely played any Dead
So
Island.
I'm automatically against them.
Okay, so first of all,
No
Bound,
offense.
Bound in Blood, I think, is one of the only games in the franchise that I think is lauded as an actual like good game. Like it captures the Western thing pretty well, and as a result, it's considered up there as one of the better Western games out there.
Yeah.
So instead of trying something new and different like they did with Cartel and making a modern game and it's all about running drugs or stopping drug dealers or whatever the fuck that shit was.
Terrible
This was the new
idea.
Outlaws.
Yeah.
This is back to like super traditional Western stuff, and as a result, it comes across as playing it very safe, incredibly safe. But it's so, because of that, it's so focused on being just a really good Western that I think it works.
Well, I think it even goes beyond that. I mean, the way I feel about Techland, and I've always felt this way about them, and I think I wrote this in my review of Call of Juarez the Cartel, is that...
You played that game?
Yes, I reviewed it.
He
I
did.
played it and finished it and reviewed it. And did
What'd you give it?
I don't remember.
I still feel sorry for you.
I don't remember, but they have all these great ideas that you can see in there. They're not. They have imagination. They have great ideas. They basically bite off more than they can chew.
They don't come together.
Yes, exactly. I feel like when they probably have a little bit minimal budget, maybe a smaller studio, but they want to do this grand AAA game, and they just can't pull it together.
This is the first time I think they've tried to do something within their
Exactly.
scope.
That's what I mean. Like within, like if they shrink it down with a smaller scope,
They do what's important.
with the right budget,
What makes sense.
focus on gameplay and polish and snappiness, and then it can work.
even as a demo, this game feels polished.
Yes.
And not only that,
Wait, think about what you're saying. A Techland game feels polished. That's amazing.
okay, so
I had trouble wrapping my head around that.
So there are things that I'm going to say here that might initially turn you off. Like, it's linear. There are, at least in the demo, there was no instances where I could kind of like stray off the beaten path.
But
I don't mind that.
That's not always a
Some
bad
of the
thing,
best games in
but-
history are linear games.
Yes. But as a result, like, there's so much detail packed into that linear path that it's just like a really fun roller coaster ride.
Right.
You're going through it. There's scripted sequences. Like, you come across this beautiful canyon, and like this train heist had taken place, and they had blown the bridge.
I'm getting so pissed off I didn't play this.
And the train had crashed, and you had to like scale the train cars to get to the top to try and stop the thieves. But like you jump into one of the train cars, and all of a sudden you're halfway through it. It starts to slide, and you run, and you have to jump out before the train falls.
Right.
And it has that Western like sound design to it. It feels really good, like classic. Yeah, like the music's there, and you have this
the whip in the
narrator.
background.
You have this narrator that's narrating
music right now.
You have this narrator telling the story to. He's like essentially telling the story to some like young kid who's aspiring to be a
So
gunslinger.
it's like a sultry kind of old guy.
and in the
But
combat.
it's an arcade shooter, right? With numbers coming out of people.
Yes, you get the Borderlands thing happens there. So when you shoot dudes, like fucking numbers are popping out of their heads. You're getting experience for headshots.
Why didn't I play
This? When you do a headshot, when you pull off a headshot with one shot, the butt of the gun comes up and you see like, the smoke rising out. And he goes, and he blows it away. Nice. And that shit's awesome. But it has the Deadeye thing. It's like when you hit the Deadeye mechanic, like the character turns like bright red. So you have this really bright red character, and he's like moving real slow, and you can like dodge bullets, and then like boom, headshot, and then blow the thing, and that feels fucking awesome. And you're picking up guns left and right, and I've used like 4 or 5 different guns in the demo. But here's the weirdest thing: I didn't realize from looking at screenshots, this has like a Borderlands art style
Yeah,
to it.
I didn't. I looked at some screenshots. I didn't know it would be.
It's a very subtle like cell shading to it,
Okay.
and as a
Basically,
result,
that increases frame rate.
it's not super technically impressive. Like there's not a whole lot of environmental damage. Like you can't really damage like everything in the world. There's some things you can, but it looks really good, and it all just feels really
It's
polished already.
gameplay. It's about gameplay.
So I have one question.
This is the shit they should have always been doing.
When I asked what games I missed and I should play, why the fuck did no one tell me this game?
This is the last game I played today.
I tried.
sounds so good.
I tried. I wanted to, and I forgot.
And those numbers that are
Completely
popping up.
understandable, though. I mean, you look at the list of games that are supposed to be here. That's so far down the totem pole that you wouldn't even think to look at it.
And
I didn't even
especially
see
with
it.
the track
I've been
record
walking
of
around
this
all day.
franchise.
So have I.
Yeah.
I walked around trying to find any
I didn't
possible
see
game
it.
I missed.
I
never
saw Might
it.
and Magic in the last 10 minutes on the floor.
Those numbers that fly off their heads, it's experience points that you use to buy. You upgrade. There's 3 different classes. There's sniper, brawler, and gunslinger, and they each have like a 6-shooter type thing, and they each have an ability in one of the slots, and you get to upgrade and mix and match using those experience points throughout battle, which is fucking cool.
And first person view, right?
First person, yeah. But I don't know. I think this is gonna be a good game.
I actually, when I first heard about this, I wrote about it, and I was excited because I said, you know what, Techland is a good developer who have always tried to do too much, and if you shrink down their scope, I think they can do something really cool, and this is what's happening now. And yeah.
For me, honestly, after playing this demo, for me, this is a day one purchase.
And they need to do like atmosphere. Make that music come in. Make those sceneries come in. Like when at the end of the thing, I want that last headshot to go like as soon as his head explodes, I want that bell to go bong and
Here's the credits start rolling.
There's one sequence where so you come up on the train track, right, and you see these like buzzards on the train track, and then they fly away, and I just fucking shot a buzzard, and I was like, yes, and you get experience points for shooting the buzzard. But there's a break in the train track, right, and you can see the train that you need to get to across, and it says jump to the other train, and like you literally had to time your jump. I failed twice before I fucking got it. But when you nail it, you jump right in time, and it slows down, and then the train door opens, and there's a guy standing there, and you have to like shoot him as you're flying through the air in slow motion.
So good.
And it's not going to do anything super mind blowing or new, but it's fucking good.
But you know what's funny too is that there aren't a lot of westerns. We had Red Dead Redemption.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's one few. We have fewer like cheesy spaghetti westerns, which is a totally different sort of thing. I mean, Red Dead Redemption was good, but it was a serious western.
The tone's a little different here.
It was a Deadwood sort of experience.
I forgot the most important. The biggest thing is that the demo ends with a showdown, like a shootout. Mm-hmm. And the way their mechanic works is it goes into like a cinematic view, so it's like behind your head, but you can see your target right there. And there's a big reticle, and you just see your hand hovering above your holster, and you have to it's kind of like moving around as it's shrinking, and you have to use the analog stick to kind of keep it focused on their head, and you watch his hand, and the moment his hand reaches for his gun, you hit L, the left trigger, to pull out your gun, and then right trigger to fire before he fires. And if your reticle is still within range of his head or wherever you're aiming, you'll take him out first. And like, it's super simple. It's not that creative, I guess, in the grand scope of things, but it's fucking fun.
But sometimes, like, I forget which game it was I played.
It sounds so familiar. That showdown mechanic.
Oh, it's been done before.
Showdown mechanic. Every showdown mechanic I played has been overly complicated.
Yeah.
Even the Red Dead Redemption one. No, not the Red Eye.
No, Red Eye was pretty simple.
Red Eye was pretty simple. There was another one I did. Maybe it was Call of Juarez Cartel, where it was just so overly complicated. I never knew what I was doing wrong. I just didn't know.
Was that game even a western?
It's a modern western.
That doesn't sound fun at all.
It's not very fun. It's not.
That doesn't sound very western.
Read my review. You'll see it's not very fun.
I'm gonna play Bound in Blood.
I'm glad I have an ally for this game though, because this is the one. Okay, if there's any one game I'm kicking myself for not playing, it's this one. Yeah. Because not only was I rooting for it, I just
if Red,
it sounds great.
I mean, thanks to Red Dead, I will try anything western. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, the way you describe the aesthetic. Granted, I've not seen a single screenshot of this game. I don't know anything about it except what you tell me. But the character, it almost sounds a bit like they're trying to go for 13 more than kind of a Borderlands approach. I don't know if y'all remember 13.
Yes, it is kind of 13. Yeah. But it's more subtle than that.
More subtle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, I'll try and pull a screenshot. If y'all want to move to the next game,
What's the next game?
What is the next game?
We can do Delver's Drop.
Delver's Deep.
We can really quick.
Oh, Delver's Deep.
Delver's Drop.
Delver's Deep. Delver's Drop.
Delver's Drop. Yeah.
Delver's Drop.
There's delving. We know that.
It was a
delving.
Kickstarter.
It's a Kickstarter thing. It's so the viewpoint is sort of exactly like the Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
You're basically going through room to room. It's a roguelike. Yeah. You're going from room to room to room to room. They're procedurally ginger-rated.
They reached their Kickstarter goal to make it class-based too. So there's gonna be I think 2 or 3 other classes you can play.
But you're basically going through and killing monsters and collecting gems. You know what it is? It's a casual game, but a really, really fun, good casual.
The art style is really good. It's kind of it's a little bit like a painted.
It has
it's cell shaded almost.
Painted, slightly cell shaded with some dynamic light.
It's all 2D.
What makes this a good casual game?
Because it doesn't feel
simple mechanics.
The stress level is low.
Yeah.
You have a sword. Sometimes the one I did, I had a bow. Just not really deep, but fun. And just you want to. Let's see how far I can go today. While I'm on the turlet or something, and just go down. Oh, I got to floor 26, and I collected 36 rubies. Oh, good. I don't even you don't even you collect these gems and you can't even buy anything with them. You get when you die. It's like here's how many you collected this time.
They're actually going to expand the game. I think they were talking about making it more open. Like the way
I don't even want that. I like the idea. You know what it is? It's like Zelda mixed with Bejeweled. No, it is.
You're collecting gems. You're not lining them up.
No, but it's not about lining them up. It's about the low stress level.
Right. Yeah.
It's about the low stress
really
and
simple.
the ease of play.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound kind of like 10 million?
I don't know what you're talking about.
10 million.
10 million. Actually,
yeah.
Zocano was playing the crap out of it for a couple weeks.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's basically a dungeon crawler, but as a match 3 game.
Okay, I don't. Yeah.
So if look up some of the past broadcasts, I think you might find something similar in that.
Okay.
But it's a lot of fun. It's pretty.
What system is that going to be on?
PC primarily right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of these are just PC right now.
Like 90% of them.
90%, 95 are just PC right now.
It's easier for them to do.
It's the first step. The first step is PC.
Yeah, no indie developer goes, I'm going to start making video games. Xbox, here it comes.
Yeah.
You know what's amazing is the fact that back before the crash, first step was probably consoles.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's PC.
Yeah.
So goddamn easy.
Okay.
Speaking of PC
and consoles.
Speaking of consoles, why don't we talk for a second about Metro Last Light, because we saw that on console.
I did see that on console.
I love
okay,
this
so
game.
I'll talk about this. I
Big
was
difference, HD textures.
HD textures. I was very concerned. So when I first, you guys heard me talk about Metro in the past couple of podcasts, and I love Metro. So it's,
I think all of us really enjoyed it.
I didn't cream my pants.
Love Metro Last Light, but I was terrified of how it might look on the console, because let's face it, compared to PCs, consoles suck now. And I saw it today on the console. Okay, it didn't look as bad as I thought it would.
It looks okay.
It looks okay. You know what it lacked? You know what it lacked? You know what? There's console graphics just look flat.
It's because they don't have enough RAM to have
no
HD
RAM.
textures.
They do have HD textures and run really good dynamic lighting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so console versions of things just look really flat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not. It doesn't look horrible, and that's the point. It's still a good-looking game.
Horrible, so I'm okay with that. I'm also. I know I looked at it for a little while, but
it's the same thing as look at Far Cry 3.
Yeah,
that game didn't look as good as the PC version, but I would never describe that game as terrible.
But you know what I'm worried about is that it doesn't just come down to graphics. It comes down to AI. I mean, AI requires CPU processors to work, and I worry that console versions of games, the AI will just not be as good. Like the experiences I had fighting that spider on the PC, where we were having this back and forth and him flanking me and being this crazy situation that was frightening and fun. I worry that on the PC. On the console, that wouldn't.
I'm not worried about that.
You're a programmer guy.
Decision trees.
Yeah,
it's really
decision
trees are really simple. Yeah.
Very simple. AI can be very simple. It can get very complex behaviors and with very little information, very little.
Okay.
I think this is another sign of the times that we're ready for. It's time for us. We're ready for that move to the next console.
I've been ready for 2 years. 2 years ago, I was saying,
we're 3 years late to the party.
2 years ago, I was like, I go to the consoles and I go to the PCs, and it's night and day, and I feel horrible about it.
Yeah. The things that were important for Metro, the things that made it feel good in your hands, I think are still there, still present on the console. Yes. That stuff is really important. I think you might just notice the lack of super HD textures.
It makes me so want every game I'm seeing right now just to get delayed.
I'm buying them all on PC.
Me being the
I don't have a PC to
me being a huge Assassin's Creed fan, I'm really. They've already announced
you
Black
want to get
Flag.
the next gen.
I want to get it for PS4, but I also don't want to wait.
See, this is my.
I don't think you'll have to worry about that.
This is my big.
Yeah.
You think it'll be out before October 29th?
I think it will arrive launch day with the new console.
I can see them doing that.
I think it'll be a launch title for the console, but that might be after the release of the game on Xbox.
I thought we already heard there was going to be 2 versions, like this gen version and the next gen version.
Yeah, and transition titles are natural for this time.
No.
But I'm saying
not like that.
I'm saying I don't think.
Yeah, they are.
No, not with that much space between.
No. But here's what I'm saying: they already have a release date for Assassin's Creed, October 29th. PS4, I don't think will be out until November, December.
It's going to be late November.
And I don't want to wait until the end of November to play Assassin's Creed. It's Assassin's Creed.
No.
It's my crack.
No, he's agreeing. He's agreeing with you.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Like,
that is understandable.
People aren't going to wait a month. No.
Like, why don't they just delay the first one.
The funny thing is,
do
they
both the
did this
launches.
exact same thing because they released Assassin's Creed 3, and then shortly after they released Assassin's Creed 3 bundle
I
with
have
the
an
console.
idea. I have an idea. Just delay it a month and release it for the next console.
You know what? Here's the thing.
I know. The thing is
We'll know what the release date for the PS4
because they
is
know
soon.
there's crazy people who will buy it twice.
Yep, there are.
And that's
You know,
why they have it.
I'm one of
He's
them that
one of
might
them. He's
do
right
it.
here. He's
Right
right
here.
here.
You're the
Same
reason
here.
why they do
I will
that.
do that.
I might. If it's only a month wait, I might just try and tough it out.
Redbox.
I
Rent it.
Oh,
No,
Redbox.
rent it.
no.
Yeah.
Just
No,
rent
No,
it.
but
do
here's the
that.
thing, because I don't want to have to start the
Why
game
not?
over either. I would rather just start it from scratch on the PS4. I might just wait a month. Whatever.
This is going to be a very difficult time for
I mean,
us.
It's going to be a very hard time.
I mean, less than 24 hours from now, I'm going to be owning BioShock. Okay,
Multiple.
I'm going to own it on 360. I want to get the next day the Songbird edition, also for the 360, and then I know just a few scant weeks later when it goes on sale, I'm going to get it for the PC.
You're a crazy man.
Yep.
Anyways,
But I just wanted to say about Metro, you shouldn't worry about the AI routines.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't get to, I was hands off
been the gameplay,
on the PC
I know.
version, but it looked exactly the same.
Okay.
The only worry I have is the darkness in the game, because maybe the brightness was turned up significantly for both.
no, I think
for
they
this
turned it
demonstration
up for the
purposes.
console, I think.
No, both versions, both the PC and the 360 version that I played, it seems so bright.
No, the PC
And I
version
didn't like
played
that at all.
seemed
Mine seemed appropriate.
It felt very
the
off
ones
to
in
me.
the ones on the console and on the show floor, I think the brightness was cranked up because
As well
Yeah,
as
I mean,
the
there's
This is so
one
bright.
difference,
Yeah. It had to be.
No,
well.
I think
What other games are on the list?
Yeah.
I
Sorry.
say
Quick thing,
two more.
Dropcord is
Okay,
developer
Dropcord,
friendly.
really quick.
Dropcord, and then we're gonna finish off with Guns Icarus.
It's a Double Fine game.
Yep.
It's a really interesting game, but the problem is I guess it uses like some infrared sensor.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of a music based game, and so on the screen you have your two fingers. You control it with your two index fingers. I mean, I guess you could technically use any fingers you want.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how it works is you put them on there, and it matches up where your fingers are. And so now you control. There's a circle. And both of your fingers on either side of the circle, and there's a line connecting them. And you have to kind of connect dots that are inside the circle. And so it starts off really simple, where there's just two dots, you connect them, and then they shift a little, so you have to rotate your fingers. But then there start coming up these little, like, kind of... like an hourglass shaped figure, and you can't touch those. Those are bad, so you have to avoid them. And so it's pretty simple. But then they start moving, so they won't just be on the screen. They'll start like going in some pattern, moving back and forth. So you have to be connecting dots and dodging those at the same time, all while like having this line in between your fingers.
I've seen this concept before in several games. I cannot remember any of them for the life of me, just what they're called. But I want to. That's BioShock. I want to think that it's similar in a way to a rhythm-based game called Super Hexagon.
Super Hexagon, yeah.
So I'm sorry. So you have both your fingers are on the screen.
I don't think
No, 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 no.
It's a lot.
They're in the air.
Listen. This is on a TV. You're playing on a TV. You're not touching
Connect.
anything.
That's
No.
what
Listen.
I want to get to that joke.
There is a small IR sensor, like an infrared sensor, this big, and it's sitting here, and your fingers are floating above it.
The peripheral.
I don't know. I couldn't find anybody to talk to me. So I don't know. It could be something simple as the Wii U sensor. I don't know, just plug it in, whatever,
Well,
and
any
go.
sensor, I guess, would work.
Yeah, the Kinect wouldn't work. I mean, it's not that accurate.
How is this not a launch title for Connect 2?
Yeah, no, I agree. It should
gotta
be.
Well, if you make a fist, they can get your fists.
Yeah, I guess that would work.
I mean, the Connect 2 has they can differentiate between fingers.
That,
Yeah.
that guy, whoever that weird guy was, saying it can tell when you can blink.
Yeah.
And like, I think you're full of shit.
about-
Was that Peter Molyneux? No.
I think Peter. So Peter Molyneux, I think, invited me.
What about people who are really squinty in the first place?
Peter Molyneux?
Yeah, but what if there's a character recognition system in
It's like,
there?
my dad. He showed up. He's like, my dad's awesome.
If you're
See you
super
later.
squinty, what if it generates a character for you that looks aged?
Don't be racist.
I'm sorry.
What?
He's racist.
Yeah,
Moving on.
Damn you, Tim.
Moving on.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap up with Guns of Icarus.
I still don't
Yes.
understand what he was saying.
So
I don't either.
So I actually had to drag them to come look
You
at
have the
this
drag. You told me, hey, come check this out. And I was like, okay.
I was like, come here, you need to see this because there's cool things.
Well, I think
He lost me when he started comparing it to Skies of Arcadia.
No,
I didn't like that game.
I think what you need to do is you need to say, hey, remember those ship sections you liked in Assassin's Creed 3?
Imagine
This
those
is
in
this
the
in the
air.
sky.
yeah, I was trying to
With a flair of B-17 Flying Fortress, that
And
old
TF2.
PC game.
And a combination of TF2. Yeah,
because
definitely.
you're hitting the rim.
Well, there's a lot of different things there.
I love how the animation for like fixing stuff is like your wrench just like hitting shit.
Well, it's similar to TF2. But yeah, Chris, talk about the game.
So the basic idea of Behind the Guns of Icarus, it's a kind of steampunk-esque Sky Pirates game, in which you play from the first-person perspective with a team on a ship, and you go around and you try to blow up other ships.
Yep.
That's
So
basically the heart of it.
you have a fleet of ships, and so it's two fleets of ships.
You can't have a
battling.
fleet of ships. Yeah, you team deathmatch or deathmatch or I think those are the most even CTF.
Really?
Yeah.
Capture the flag.
Yeah.
Ships.
Yeah.
And so one of the cool elements is you have a map, but you can't see enemies on the map unless one of your other ships has seen them at least.
Okay. No.
And so you're kind of wandering blind.
It's a line of sight.
Yeah, there's line of sight.
But you also play as a character on the ship. You're not controlling the ship, so you
You're a
can run.
character on
You can
the
physically
ship.
run from the captain's.
You have a crew on a ship
Yeah,
that's manning the ship.
It's played from the first-person perspective.
It's multiplayer.
Yeah, it's multiplayer.
There's AI if they don't have enough crew.
Yeah, and each person can take on the role of a different thing. So, for example, one can be the captain at the helm, directing where your ship flies and the speed and everything. One can be at the front on the mast.
Yeah.
and have a flamethrower.
No, the flamethrower's on the side.
it's on the side?
The front is that giant fucking
Missile launcher.
that
Yeah.
launches 20 missiles and this
takes forever to
barrage
reload.
of bullets. Yeah.
I will say there were multiple instances where Nolan, I believe, was on the big gunner for the gun at the front of the ship for a while.
He loved that.
And,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
great,
good, yeah.
except for those moments where he was like, "Why are we flying towards a cliff? Who's flying this thing?"
Right, and I turn around and
Nobody's driving.
He turned around. There was nobody flying the ship.
it's like think of a ship in the water,
Ship. You can get fucked
like
up.
a sailing ship, and you just look up there and the wheels just kind of spinning originally. And I'm like, oh shit! So I gotta fucking run up there and start spinning the wheel back, and I gotta.
That's awesome. Like every role is very important.
Oh, it is.
It's not like it'll just procedurally go and do its thing. It's like we need a captain.
We need teamwork.
We need
people
to be. Someone needs to captain.
Someone
this
can
thing.
shoot out the engines, and so someone with a wrench has to go back and fix the engine. Otherwise, we can't turn. We can't whatever.
We need a spaceship game like this.
Oh yeah.
We
Like
absolutely do.
spaceship
It's
combat.
coming.
Spaceship combat with full crew. Like
Are you referring to the Kickstarter game? What's it called?
Space Citizen?
No,
I'm a leaf-
Star Citizen.
I'm a leaf of the wind.
Is that?
It's not going to be quite that way.
It's
Quite
just
like that.
like Wing Commander, right?
Oh,
Yeah, Star Citizen is basically Wing Commander,
Yeah,
with
okay.
just bigger ships.
Bigger
well,
ships.
you just fly.
But anyway,
like one
so
ship, yeah.
but even flying the ships is more complicated than I would have even imagined. In the sense that you have your typical the big what's the term for that wheel like mast?
Well, I mean, it's the helm.
No, it's the helm.
It's
the helm. I guess the helm. So I guess the
There
mast
is
is
a technical build,
and so
name for it.
But then you have a more traditional, like lever and more modern, larger ships, so you can increase the speed of the ship, and you can also throw it in reverse. And I was talking to the developer, and he was like, "Oh, well, a quick way to turn is to throw it in reverse,
Yeah.
and then spin the wheel real quick, and you'll make
Like-
sharp turns,
like
and
a
stuff
real
that.
ship,
like
like
how
a
a real
boat.
ship works."
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it felt really good. I needed to make a quick turn because an enemy ship had came around a corner, and my gunner couldn't hit him, so I had to quickly turn around and throw it back and forward and chase after him. Or I saw an enemy coming at us, and so I just threw it in reverse and was backing away the whole time and
Helm.
letting the helm. And so, but another thing is, and this is like most other cooperative games, is you literally have to know everything about what you're doing. Just because you're not shooting doesn't mean you have to know how to shoot.
You know what-
Because your gun has a limited range, and as the captain, I need to be able to put my gunner in a range that I know he can shoot. And y'all were all watching. There were several times I was on the big gunner, and I was just sitting there because there was a ship right to my right, but I couldn't do anything because the captain needed to turn the wheel.
Needs to know.
Exactly.
Or he wasn't even there, and you ran into him out.
Yeah.
This is like FTL almost.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Multiplayer FTL.
Just the
Yeah.
combat aspect of it.
And
Except there's no boarding. You can't get off your ship.
on
Yeah.
Thank
God
that
it's
is
the
the
brakes.
number one requested most feature in this game, and they every single time refuse to do it, and I completely understand.
I understand why.
So
It makes sense. The
Ariel just abandoned
the
ship
reason,
and
yeah,
take it
exactly.
wrong.
The reason they don't want to do it is because they want to make sure this is a team cooperative event. They don't want people leaving the ship and having just one guy on there. He can't do
He's on
everything
the
by
helm, he's
himself. Yeah.
if you get off the ship, you die. You respawn on the ship.
Yeah.
So
Because if you were on the ship, you would never leave the ship because you just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that. Yeah.
no, but there's two interesting things about this title. Number one, it's had a bit of a rough development cycle. The game was released October 29th last year. What else came out October 29th?
Yeah.
Yeah. Need for Speed and some kind of assassination game?
Yeah, something similar
Yeah.
to that. Yeah.
Something with ships in it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
And so when it also launched, it was kind of buggy and they were trying to fix it. But what happened shortly after that? Hurricane Sandy. Their offices are in New York. And so their offices were in the middle of a zone that the police had cordoned off. They couldn't get to. They couldn't get to it for 3 weeks. Evidently, according to them, they had to have a guy sneak into that zone and grab the game servers so they could go take that back to their temporary offices and fix the game and patch
Which
everything.
means home.
Yeah. Someone's basement.
Yeah.
They've had a rough time, but they're slowly gaining popularity.
No, that's dedication that they
Yeah.
did that.
Definitely.
They broke
These
laws
guys
to make
are-
sure their game was still up and running for people.
Yeah, these guys are very proud of their product. The other thing is that they're kickstarting it again. It was originally a Kickstarter project.
I remember, it being a
But they're
Kickstarter project.
kickstarting it again. They started it for PAX specifically. It's called Guns of Icarus Online: The Adventure, and I don't know the details specifically. I didn't have time to look it up, but it seems like they're adding more of a story-based focus on this. They're asking for $100,000, and they only started 3 days ago, but they're already up to, as of this afternoon, about 20,000.
Oh, wow.
And they haven't told anybody about this. They haven't put out a press release.
Right.
Nobody knows. So
A lot of it's probably coming from players who've already played the game.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that played it.
absolutely. I mean, it seems like there is a dedicated fan base for this game, and we are completely out of the loop.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So this could be a wonderful community game. For
Oh
us.
yeah, I think it has definitely has
Yeah.
community night.
Good old one-eyed Captain Nolan here.
Captain Dolan.
Yep, I always turn left.
Captain Dolan. Turn left.
Very nice.
The only direction I can
I think
see.
there is there up to 6 ships in battle at one time with 4 people on each. I know there's 4 people per ship, and I know there's at least 6 ships. So I mean, 24 people at once.
I don't honestly know.
That's just what I saw at least playing today.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good size.
I do need to do a lot more research on this game, but it certainly looks fun.
I think it's safe to say we'll see more of this on 4-Player Network.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
All right.
I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just going to recommend, maybe before we close it out, say our game of show.
Game of show. All right, you start off, Nick.
I'm going to give my game of show to Contrast. Why are you rubbing my nose?
I'm
not-
if that's shaming. Or
I'm not
if
a
that's
rabbit.
complimenting?
Do you rub rabbits' noses?
I used to have a rabbit.
I thought you
You still have a
scratched
rabbit?
their ears.
Yeah.
What was his name?
I don't
Rabbits are
remember.
I
dicks.
remember he didn't love your rabbit.
Rabbits are assholes.
He didn't live very long.
rabbits-
He was delicious.
He got out.
everything.
He got out and he dug under the fence in my backyard, and the dog killed him next
Yeah.
door.
Oh,
Thank
that's-
God.
I had him for like 2 weeks.
They're horrible. You didn't have to live through his entire life. They're
No, he was an
fucking
asshole.
horrible.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
rabbit was an
Yeah.
asshole?
My
Oh, okay.
my
Yeah,
rabbit,
Fuck that rabbit.
hated himself so much he killed himself.
Your rabbit killed himself.
He
committed suicide.
How did your rabbit commit suicide?
he freaked out at something and he tried to jump through like in between like a couch and something, some hole he couldn't get through.
Uh-huh.
He got stuck, freaked out even more, and like literally broke his own back trying to get out.
Rabbits are kind of crazy.
They're dumb. They're incredibly
Talking about rabbits.
and they chew on everything.
They chew on
They're little
everything.
fucking assholes.
Yeah.
I hate rabbits.
And they just shit
them.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh God.
You know what? Fuck rabbits.
Do you know like in they have a litter box? they'll poop, but they also have this like really like white colored junk in there. I don't know if it's like jizz or urine or what.
It's rabbit soul.
Yes.
It's rabbit
It's
soul.
fucking awful.
It's rabbit soul.
I
There's
had rabbit
like
once.
look, it's documented. It's documented that there is a little bit of rabbit soul in every shit.
Yeah, it's like they spunk on their shit. I don't even know what that is. It's awful.
Because that's how new rabbits come.
Yeah.
They spunk on their shit, and new rabbits form from the rabbit shit.
I
Just grow
believe
right
it.
out of it.
Yeah.
That's when they say like fuck like rabbits. That actually means anal sex.
Hey baby, you wanna fuck like rabbits? You said yes.
So Contrast is my game of show.
Excellent.
All right.
So my game of the show would probably. It's the one game I kept going back and playing, which would have to be Secret of Ponchos.
Yeah.
I like that game a lot.
Nice.
I'm gonna have to pick that up.
Yeah, it's a good game. So I always have a tough time when I'm giving a game of show to something because I always like, oh, everyone's gonna give it to this, but sometimes that's the game I like the best. And I mean, just and my mind is always changing, but right now my current thought is my game of show is Transistor because I fucking
that's
loved
fair.
almost everything
Yeah.
about that game, the music, the gameplay, the art style, everything I loved in that.
Honestly, PAX was over for me as soon as I played Metro Last Light, so I've got to give it to that. I'm so infatuated with this franchise. What are you doing?
We'll talk about it after the show.
Whatever.
We'll talk about it
Okay,
after the show.
whatever. I'm so infatuated with this franchise. I can see so much potential with what they're doing with Last Light, and it just deserves so much more praise than just a couple boos that
I think this game might put it in more at the forefront of that genre. I think it'll get some attention.
They're testing so many smart things, and they're taking so many ideas from other games. I mean, the caution mode and the search mode, straight out of freaking Metal Gear.
But they do it honestly better in
Yeah,
Metro than they did in Metal Gear.
So I mean, it's my game of the show, and I can't wait till May for that.
My game of the show.
I can already see it. Smiles forming on Joseph's face. Soda.
It's gonna be Soda Drinker Pro. Yeah, it's gonna be Soda Drinker Pro. There's just, this is a very important game. I think it's important for humanity. I think humanity is missing one thing, and that is soda. And that Soda Drinker Pro can bring that soda. Look,
We have like 8 soda bottles on the
we
table.
are out of soda. We are all out of soda.
We're all pros.
Do you hear this? Do you hear this, internet?
Super loud on the mic.
That is the sound of empty bottles of soda. If we had Soda Drinker Pro,
I wouldn't be thirsty.
I wouldn't be thirsty at all.
Yeah.
I am currently thirsty.
We should go download it and go play it.
We should go download Soda Drinker Pro and download it and play it, so we are no longer thirsty. So my game of show goes to Soda Drinker Pro, and that rhymes because I like limes.
I thought you were saying we're out of time.
And
And we are out of time.
It is kind of an important game for this show.
No, I think it's so meta, and everyone, the indie guys and the AAA guys take everything so goddamn seriously. Soda Drinker Pro is sort of the Andy Kaufman of PAX East. And it's important for it to be there just to kind of keep things in perspective.
I saw a couple people, like the people I saw playing the game, and really enjoying it.
Did you get new glasses?
No, I just put them on.
Yeah.
So
I don't think I've ever seen you in glasses.
What?
Besides the whole
entire
weekend.
The people I saw playing it were all in the spirit of the game.
Yeah.
Like they would go, oh shit, this is so refreshing.
Yeah, exactly.
They get really into it.
And it really, it's Will Byerly, I think is his name, and he sells it.
I saw the brother.
So good.
I saw the
They
brother.
look exactly alike. I got them confused at one point.
And his brother is just so dedicated. Like, he comes off as really dedicated to the idea, really dedicated to the concept that he is making the best experience for drinking soda on the console.
I mean, it's not the game is half the game. The other half are the developers who just sell this.
That's what it is. It's
and
the dead.
do
It's,
it so wonderfully.
it's the deadpan selling of the game from the developers.
wouldn't be
The
half
funny
as
thing is that
funny
you're
if
saying
they
they're
didn't.
not serious, but he's so serious about this game.
Yeah.
This is the game.
So
This is-
definitely watch my interview over on YouTube and over 4playernetwork.com. Actually, I was in the media room and I met in person Mitchy D, who works for IGN. We had some back and forth on Twitter and whatnot, and I was like, hey, it's Joseph, just a 4player, and he's like, who? As often happens when I introduce myself that way, and I go, oh, we know each other on Twitter. He's like, oh yeah, hey, and then he kind of recognized me, and I'm like, so we had some banter back and forth, like, oh, the weekend's hard. Media always are like, oh, well, the weekend's hard, and we're tired, and I go, have you seen Soda Drinker Pro? And he goes, you know, people keep talking about that. I'm not really getting it. And I go, no, IGN, you should cover Soda Drinker Pro. If you know what's good for your website, and listen, 4,000 uniques a day. Let me tell you, IGN, of what you should cover.
Wait, have we checked their site? Is it on there?
What?
Is IGN?
Not yet. I don't think they went over there.
That's unfortunate.
That's unfortunate.
not their
But I did try.
They probably saw it, but just it dead.
And you know what? You know what I call that? I call that exclusive.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, you have the exclusive now? The tables have turned.
Tables have turned, IGN. Now we'll see.
All right, PAX, that happened.
Yeah. So anyway, anyone have anything else they want to add? Are we done? It's almost 2 in the morning here.
I would like to add that our flight leaves in about 9 hours.
Okay.
And I've still got videos to edit.
All right, so we should wrap this up. Hey, everyone, thanks for coming out. This has been a great PAX for everybody, for the community, for us. This has been some of the most fun I've had at a convention, probably since we started doing this. So thanks, everyone, for coming out and making it great, coming out to the community. I'm sorry, I'm getting too close. Everyone who came out to our community night on Saturday, everyone who has been keeping up with 4-Player Network, to our news, to our videos on YouTube, and all that kind of stuff. We love you all.
Pretty fucking awesome.
We truly do. Anyway, this has been Cocktail Time, episode PAX East 2013. Make sure you tune in, 4playernetwork.com. A lot more stuff coming this week, and we will see you very soon.